Hey everybody out there in SameDadPodcast land, we got another fantastic, whimsical episode full of pearls of wisdom and fantastic chaos and jokes. And this is Jesse and my sister Kellie, and we have a special guest today. We have deathmatch wrestling legend Neil Diamond Cutter, known as the Honey Badger. Nice to have you here, Neil.
Thanks for having me, guys. Can't wait to see what kind of randomness you guys got for me today.
Me too. I have no idea.
We're just gonna kind of roll with it. Really, I mean, let's start off with how's everybody's week going? Pretty good.
Yeah, I just kind of sit around.
Yeah.
I don't do much. Since I got that infection, I've been more working on my Patreon a lot. I do a similar a podcast, not really similar, but I call it track by track album recommendations. And from anyone you can think of, I come across, I usually like, hey, what's an album you'd recommend to someone? And just give it a whirl around just personally, and decided to put in a podcast form and go track by track about how I felt each song was put together and the whole end view of the album per se. And I'm a 90s kid, so I have a pretty wide variety of music I already listen to. So it's nice getting, like, I have a random Beatles album in there, and I'm like, oh no. Because my mom grew up with the Beatles, so I'm like, I know all their, like, huge hits, and they get very, very repetitive to me. But hopefully listening to a whole album that doesn't have all number one hits on it, I think will be kind of interesting to dive into.
Yeah, definitely. I love, like, every artist is known for a few songs, but when you can get into, like the middle stuff, you know what I mean? Like the songs that maybe a lot of people aren't aware of. That's when it really gets good.
Yeah, like I had to do a Seven Dust album, and it's like their 13th album. I'm like, they're still making albums? Holy shit. Like, I thought they died after like 3 or 4 albums. I was completely blown away that they're up to 13. And I wouldn't say like their style has necessarily changed all that much. They kind of do the same thing they did in their first previous albums that I liked, but overall I was like, well, you learn something new every day. I didn't know they had 13 albums. Oops.
Yeah, that's quite a bit. Yeah, I remember Seven Dust. What was that in, like, was that the early 2000s when they were super?
Yeah, they came out around 99, 2000 with like their first album was called Self, and I can't remember that, but their second album had Denial on it, and that was the big, like, chart topping one that made it into like top 10 or something like that. And then after that, like, they just kind of disappeared to me.
Yeah. That's pretty cool, man. That's a good project.
You know what, one band that really doesn't surprise me, they're like this, but I got to listen to Destroyer by Kiss. Those guys are some pervy people. Like, they have one song called Beth, and the whole song is just super pervy and like,
I grew up listening to Beth in the background. I was probably at some pervy households and didn't know it now that you mention it.
Yeah, because if you listen to that album, like, it starts with Detroit Rock City, which is a big jam. But if you listen to the very beginning of the song, it's about you getting into a car, going to the concert. And by the end of the song, he ends up dying in a car wreck. So, like, immediately they throw you in this horrible situation, and then they go on about how chicks are hot. We're going to get the chicks. And that's all it is from there on out. And I'm like, man, y'all are a bunch of weirdos. Give dramatic tension with a traumatic injury or death, and then you go on to sing about pretty girls. Like, some messed up people, man.
That's pretty much been the theme of Gene Simmons' writing, I think, from his childhood. So yeah, I mean, he's still kind of claiming that persona, and he's got like cotton candy for hair, but he's still trying to rock it.
Yeah, like Gene Simmons' last one standing. Like everyone else, he bought out. So more power to him and his Kiss
You're
condom venture. Like whatever. They're all old pervy people.
I remember I went to the Graceland home of Elvis in Memphis, and they had a new wing that they had built, and one of the exhibits.
Is it a shrine to the toilet he died on?
Actually, you know what's funny is no, they got that blocked off. Unfortunately, I assume he was getting a Blumpkin, and he just kind of faded out.
I got a bigger question. Like, why did they rope it off? Like, if you're not allowed to go, I bet people have tried to take a dump in that toilet.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm sure.
Maybe a few people OD'd on top of it. Like, oh, this is the way to go.
Yeah.
Fade out.
Yeah.
That's twisted, but whatever.
He got big and fat on all them fucking peanut butter, bacon, and banana sandwiches, man.
The grossest. Yeah, definitely. I was going to say the grossest thing about Graceland is that stinky shag carpet that's still there. I mean, you walk through it's so musty. I mean, I'm sure they have, but it's like the same shag carpet I think that existed when he was living.
And that old nasty 70s carpet.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
You know, I'm old. So when I went, the new wave of touring was not to have a tour guide, but you literally strapped on a cassette recorder, get some of that, and you had a headset, and they would tell you the story as you walked room from room. But if your stride, you got behind somebody or you didn't keep pace, they were talking about the room, ahead or behind you. So then, you're out of step. You just took the thing off and just kind of wandered around because it stopped telling the story. But that's what I remember. I just thought the place stunk. I don't know what else to say.
Okay. You say you're old. Can you tell me what a dial tone sounds like?
Yeah, I know what a dial tone sounds like. Is that what you're asking me to mimic it, or?
Sure.
No,
let's get real.
No, but I do remember a dial tone for sure.
Yeah, it's like a little bit more high pitched, but yeah. Say it. Like I'm trying to think of how old you are, because people say that I know I'm old just because of people call me a millennial, and I'm like, I am not a millennial. I remember what it's like to write a letter by hand and do it in cursive as practice. Like I know what a pen pal is. So yeah.
Well, you've already kind of tipped your hat. First of all, do I call you Neil or do I call you Honey Badger?
You can call me whatever you want, baby. I don't know. I'm whatever you want.
Okay, well, I might call you Honey sometimes, or I might call you Neil, so if you don't mind. So
just don't fall in love with me now. I'm a sexy scars all over my body to prove that I will fight for you.
So you already tipped your hat. You said you were a 90s kid. So yeah, I definitely got you beat, kid.
Kid.
Yeah. But we'll talk about ages maybe another time. But listen, I want to tell you a little bit about what. So Jess invited you on, and I was really excited because I know that there's a whole interest of Jesse has had in wrestling for the majority of his life that I didn't necessarily share, and it's always been intriguing to me because it was just something that. We grew up in two different households, obviously same dad, different moms. And so that's kind of the premise of the show. And one thing I was going to bring up tonight is that, my household did a really, my mother would not allow wrestling to be on our television. So that's my household. Okay. And we know that Jess is a longtime fan, and more than a fan. And I couldn't even begin to describe kind of what it's meant to him. So help me understand, Neil, what does that mean? Who are your fans? And tell me about that a little bit, because I just help me understand the attraction or what your connection is and what you bring for somebody who's naive like me.
Well, like in the world of professional wrestling, I always consider it like kind of Hollywood in the sense of like we have different genres. Like you'd probably more be inclined to watch like the Pixar movie, the kid friendly stuff with your kids, where I've met 8-year-olds at a deathmatch tournament where I am completely covered in blood and glass and thumbtacks and cursing up a storm. And these kids come up and they know who I am and know that this is just the way I am sometimes. You know, they're not scared of me by any means. But I like to think that I can span across multiple genres. Like you need me to do strong style, which I consider like an action movie. I would be like, all right, I can do an action movie. That ain't no problem. Or if I'm doing, I'm trying to think of a good way to say like a normal, just one-on-one kind of David versus Goliath match where there's no cursing, there's no like heavy violence. I can do that kind of stuff too. So my fans broaden, but if you ask any common wrestling fan, they're probably gonna be like, he's a deathmatch guy. Like he's a horror movie inside of wrestling. You want to see blood and guts? Watch a Neil Cutter match. Like that is a car wreck in real time. So it just kind of depends on what style you like. I prefer the death matches because I get to be very creative in that environment. You know, I have to adapt to everything around me in a moment's notice. It's you could think I don't like comparing it to MMA only because like, yeah, MMA is its own beast, but like it's the most extreme fast thinking thing you have to do, and that's why I enjoy doing death matches and stuff. But I have a very broad range of fans, from the family friendly to the edgy PG-13 to the rated R to the NC-17 people. I can span across all those kind of places. As far as my gimmick goes and like who I am as a character, I just go out and try to convey that sense of, well, you're gonna have to really do some damage to me to stop me. So I'm that unrelenting will in people. I like to think that human spirit that no matter what you do to me, I'm not going to stand for what you're trying to do or be mean to people or whatnot. A lot of it's me standing up to people who are kind of jerks to others, and I'll start making fun of them. That way the fans get a kick out of it that I'm able to outpun this guy or outwit him. And that usually gets the fans behind me because they're like, at least that guy can stand up to him. And he's not even the biggest dude in the room, you know? So I like to think that my fans like me because I don't give up. I have a lot of grit, as they used to say.
That's very cool. I appreciate that because I hadn't ever heard it described that way. And you did an excellent job, like kind of getting me in the sense of, you know, it's almost, as I'm hearing you talk, it sounds like a real life superhero in many ways. And you
to a degree, yeah.
You get to observe that and be a part of that, and then witness it in real life. So yeah, that's a pretty cool description. I appreciate that.
Yeah, when I was learning like kind of how stories are built inside of wrestling, it became a 3-piece act. And the best way that it was described to me was the first chapter is all about the hero. So you consider that A New Hope. The middle is about the bad guy getting one up on the good guy. That's your Empire Strikes Back. Depending on how the end of the match goes, it can become either Return of the Jedi, where the good guy wins and triumphs over evil, or it's Revenge of the Sith and the bad guys win. And ever since then, like, the whole story idea just clicked in my brain, and it's been, yeah, that's the best analogy I can give to storytelling and wrestling. It becomes very easy to be able to do it once you've done it so many times. But in a movie sense, that's kind of what we're trying to do.
Very cool.
I don't know if that related to your comment or not.
No, it's all good. It gives me that sense of things that I didn't really pay attention to. Because I mean, to be very honest with you, once you're kind of like either sheltered from something, or you say, oh, you don't waste your time on watching that. You've got to focus on this or that's, let's face it. I was a kid of the 80s. And so I think it was WGN and Atlanta kind of brought, there was like primetime wrestling during that time. You flip through the channels, and my mom, we had that on for 30 seconds. Oh, turn that. That's fake. Turn that off. That's ridiculous, and that's the truth. And so, and then, my brother growing up in a different household that really kind of, got into and was exposed to and learned more and met people who did it and that sort of thing. It's just, we lived in two different kind of worlds. And so it's always fascinated me. And so, Jess, I know you want to jump in here, but tell me, tell me what, either what I missed or what part of that, when did you start kind of getting involved, and when did it hook you or get you?
First match I ever saw was DDP versus Glacier. Thought it was cool that Mortal Kombat was like live. That was real neat to me. And then I came across Chris Jericho in the cruiserweight division in WCW, and I was like, I can do that. It's the reason I do a lion salt is because of Chris Jericho. It's the one move in my arsenal I've nailed down perfectly. But yeah, since probably 8 or 9, like I remember Stone Cold winning the title at WrestleMania. Like that's probably my furthest back memories is like the beginning of that year at the Rumble. And then from there on, I just kind of kept watching it. Went to my friend's house for pay-per-views and such. Oh.
Yeah, it sounds, I think everything you said right there was probably most of us. I mean, I was, my earlier memories were probably, we didn't have cable for a long time, so it was Saturday morning squash matches. Like you'd get you'd watch, you'd see, what was it, WWF primetime, and then it was like the Power Hour, WCW and WA, and
I remember there is Sunday Night Shotgun.
Yeah.
At one point for WWF.
Yeah, I remember. I think my two favorite genres of wrestling would be the 1985 to 1992, like the golden era.
Okay.
And then deathmatch. So that's quite a contrast. But I think if I could ever, I think the best wrestling card I could ever witness would be a deathmatch tournament with maybe like 3 or 4 old school style matches prior to the tournament starting. You know what I mean? Like if you could get
You want to know the greatest show of all time? Beats any death match or any like normal show or anything like that? Halloween Havoc 1991 that had Chamber of Horrors and just the whole show is just horrible. I was really stoned when I watched it, and I was like, this is incredibly horribly bad. So like just watching through the whole thing and seeing how many stars are in it and all that, yeah, it's definitely not the best show on earth, but I always recommend it to people because I'm like, just that first match, Chamber of Horrors, there's like 17 like legends in it.
Did you
check it out?
Yeah, do you remember the Halloween Havoc? It was either 89 or 90 that had the Nasty Boys against the Steiner brothers. Holy God.
No.
That was a physical ass match. I mean,
I believe it.
That was, it was every bit of damn near a fight. You know what I mean? Like, because the Steiner brothers the Steiners could suplex dudes against their will. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, just two giant meat muscles walking around.
Yeah, and then you got the Nasty Boys who could just take it, and I remember
I loved watching the Nasty Boys and the Acolytes, the APA, when they just went at it. I was like, oh, these guys are really, this is not good. Not good. Someone's going to get hurt.
Yeah, that was good stuff. I think really those early years of, the Macho Man and Piper and, Hogan and Flair and Dusty Rhodes and all that. I mean, that's the main reason I have Peacock now, because they quit the network. Like Vince sold it to Peacock, so now I have Peacock to watch nothing but like 80s wrestling.
Well, okay. Well, I've got a question for you, good sir.
Alrighty.
I saw on your profile, religious views, Macho Man Randy Savage was your answer. What does that mean?
It's like that's.
Is that like, oh brother, I'm gonna get you and break you?
Oh yeah, the Macho Man Randy Savage. Talking about snapping Slim Jims. Yeah, I'm gonna come off the top rope. 1, 2, 3, done. Yeah. Cup of coffee in the big time. Tito Santana. Cream of the crop.
You should do a whole podcast just like that.
Yeah, it takes some lyrics, endurance to do that. Actually, that brings.
Speaking of impersonations, like you know who Schlack is, right, Jesse?
Yeah, I think you're gonna beat me to what I was gonna tell you, but go ahead. Yeah.
No, go for it.
Well, I was gonna say the 3 best wrestling voices in deathmatch, I think, is you. You got a pretty good voice when you do your promos and stuff. I mean, the Honey Badger's got a pretty commanding vocals, and then Jeff King, okay, and Schlack. Those are the 3. So here's what I'm thinking, okay? You might want to pitch this idea to IWTV, but I think the 3 of you guys should play a game of Cards Against Humanity, and just have the audio file of you guys but you got to read the cards in full intensity. Like, you can't just kind of read them. It has to be full on.
I think that would be amazing if we get the 3 of us in a room and actually film it. Like, I think that would be the ultimate. Because, like, I think my voice is annoying. So, like, anytime I do those promos, I'm just yelling at the top of my voice and, like, trying to get it to crack. Like, trying to be an old school, like, Nickelodeon kind of character where, like, it's not just a reaction, it's a reaction, And, like, as far as impersonations go, like, I got to get Schlack. Like, hey, man, how you doing? Whatever. Yeah. Whatever. I don't care. Whatever. Yeah. Yeah, Cards Against Humanity. Yeah, I'll do it. Whatever you want to do. Whatever. Yeah, like that's Schlack. Like I can't get Jeff King down, but I'm trying to get like Matt Tremont and trying to get like impersonations of other people. Like just thinking of doing a card game. Like it doesn't matter really what card game. The Deck Against Humanity is pretty funny, but like even if we're playing War, like any kind of card game would do as long as we're just talking.
Yeah.
While we're doing it, like, real childish. Either that or like we sit around and say nothing but dad jokes.
Yeah.
I think that'd be pretty funny because me and Jeff King are dads. Like, it'd be funny to hear Schlack just be like straight deadpan, be like, I'd murder you. And we'd be like, that's not a dad joke, man. Wait, that's not a very good pun from you, and that's all he does. And me and Jeff actually like do dad jokes towards each other. I think that'd be pretty funny. I'm going to start doing it to Colin Butcher down in Australia because eventually I'm going to get over there and whoop his ass. So like next time I tweet, I'm going to put, I'm not calling you out, but Butcher, sir, yeah, you're going to have to get your ass whooped. And his name's Colin. So I thought that'd be a pretty fun pun. He just won their first deathmatch tournament down there. And I made a joke. I was like, I had to retweet this because I thought it was a good one. You could say he butchered the competition. So you got a good reaction out of people. And the owner's like, that's brilliant. I was like, dad jokes from now on. So slowly the Honey Badger's becoming less erratic and more dad-like.
There you go. Yeah, isn't Jeff King like dad like 10 times over? Doesn't he have like a huge ass family?
Yeah, Jeff King doesn't have a family. He has a litter.
Yeah, it's
I think he's got like 12 kids or something. I don't know. I think it's like 7 or 8 for reals.
Wow. Yeah, if I was
They ain't got nothing to do in Detroit.
Yeah, that's true. I guess you could walk the empty streets where there used to be businesses and an economy, or you can just sit at home and screw. I guess that's
Yeah, which one's safer? And now, if things hit the fan, he has an army now. Like he almost has a whole football team.
Yeah, that is just crazy.
Good for him though.
Yeah, and
he's a Sprice old man, the Sprice old timer.
Yeah, the voice is amazing. It's like if Hacksaw Jim Duggan did death matches. I mean, it's freaking beautiful. It's like it's just like those old, like what you'd expect, like Dick the Bruiser or some of them old timers, like Larry the Axe Hennig, to be cutting a deathmatch promo.
I like when he comes out for his entrance. He's all looking around, and I'm like, "What are you doing, Jeff?" When you're doing that, he's like, "I'm looking for monsters." I'm like, "What? You're like Moby Dick then, right? Like you'll never catch your white whale because they're not there." He's like, "Exactly." I'm like, all right, Jeff.
Is the voice a forever thing with that dude? Like, is that, or is it he just kind of does it? I mean, like when he's
I don't know. Every now and again he'll talk normally, and then every now and again he'll just be like, "Sure, Neil, whatever you say." I'll be like, "All right, cool. You don't have to act like an old timer around me, man. I think we're roughly around the same age. I don't know." Like we all look old at this stage.
So I have a question, if I can ask. I've kind of, like I said, observed from afar. But when did props, i.e., weapons, i.e., extensions of yourself, happen? Is that the definition of death matches, that you bring in other items? Because I'm asking.
Okay, think of it this way. You're probably exposed to normal wrestling where there's only like maybe a few dudes and they're fighting back and forth, not doing a whole lot.
Yeah.
The next step up from that is hardcore, which is like chairs, ladders, tables, things that will break but won't really cut you open unless it's an accident. Death matches, no rules. Whatever the fuck you bring, we throw in the ring, we do it. Like it's that simple.
It gives me so much
think
anxiety.
Of the most
God, to think about what could happen.
Yeah, but I don't live on what if.
Yeah,
I can't put what ifs in a gas can. Like,
you're right.
like it's just a calculated risk essentially. Yeah. That's what I always look at it like. If you notice the indie scene right now, there's kind of 4 big names out. Eric Ryan, who's won 2 King of Deaths, he's out. He's getting surgery on both of his hands. Mance Warner just broke his ankle, along with another up-and-coming kid. He broke his ankle the same show. And then I can't remember his first name. Chris Dickerson. Like, he got hurt. I don't even know what happened to him. I just know he was in the hospital, and, like, 2 days later, he's like, yeah, I started getting up and doing all my shit by myself. And everyone's, like, freaking out because you shouldn't be doing any of it. Because he's like, no, I'm going home. Bye. And left. Yeah, like this is the kind of at the end of tournament season is usually when you see injuries and stuff kind of spurt up out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. Like I had an infection on my head and didn't even know it. Mm-hmm. And it took me out of one of my biggest matches of probably my career, but it's all right. I'll get my shot at both of them. So it just happens.
I was going to bring that up in a little bit. I was going to talk to you about it. I think the wrestling community was beyond stoked when they saw you and Jeff King against Cologne, and I always mess up the name, Takeda, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I would have
Masahashi Takeda.
Yeah, to see you and him square off in any sort of way would have been just like,
oh, don't be surprised if I start acting more and more like him. Like just smashing, like, yeah, I'll just end up smashing things. Like I saw 2 dudes just put out cinder blocks and just jump on them and senton them. I was like, yeah, that looks like something I would do. Just stupidness. Like if I face anyone on a debut for like ICW Like, I'm probably going to be like, hold on, I need to do something real quick to make this more even for you. And I'll sit out 2 cinder blocks, put like a light tube on it, and then I'll cint on it and be like, okay, now we're on even ground. Let's do this. You know, like giving excuses to why I need to get messed up before the match actually begins. So, because I just love watching Takeda just run around and like that pane of glass that didn't break. He got up, put it on the ropes. He's like, oh no. He jumped through it and was all hyped about it. Like, yeah, it'd be crazy. Like, I need to be more like that. Just out of my mind, smiling, going through glass, and just being ridiculous.
Yeah, I think who wouldn't want to see that? Just do me a favor though. Promise me you're not going to land on the forks like he did. Because did you see that?
I can't promise anything.
He had like 7 or 8 forks, like completely in his back, and forks aren't.
I cannot promise anything, good sir.
Forks are sharp, but they're not like sharp. You know what I mean? And he had them like they were in there healthy. Like if you're going in for some spaghetti, I mean they were all in his back.
Oh yeah, it was nasty. But you know, what can you do, man?
You had like 7 or 8 of them bad boys just in there like a human porcupine.
The only two things that have ever been deterred from me ever doing, and that's because I've had friends tell me not to do them, and that's I will never do pigeon strips because Marcus Crane told me never to do them, and Pondo told me never to do pencils. So those are the only 2 things I will refuse, no matter who it is asking me to do them. So anything else, I can't take liability or responsibility for what happens to my body if I get pierced.
Google, if you get bored, Google cat spikes.
Cat spikes?
Yeah, because they're like bird spikes, but they're only a quarter as long. And And they come out in They come out in a long mat, so you could put those on a board.
So you're trying to say that they're my size pigeon strips, basically?
Well, I'm saying they won't puncture your lung like a freaking bird spike.
You guys, that's
See, this is the dumb things deathmatch fans talk to me about. Like, hey, what do you think about this? Be like, look at the human anatomy and let's figure this out. Like, you have no idea. I want to do a technical sound like wrestling match, but on top of 100 million on like a million thumbtacks. Like, let's just get, like, we can chain wrestle. I'll chain wrestle anyone who wants to chain wrestle. Like, it can be a technical wizard. I don't care, but we have to do it on a million thumbtacks because that's just, if you're gonna be dumb, you got to be tough.
Yeah, that's a good song. David Allan Coe, I think.
It's someone like that. It's for the Jackass.
Yeah. I can't think of what that guy's name is. They
got David Allan Coe though.
They got a new movie coming out in February. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah.
What are your being a deathmatch guy? Probably the Jackass stunts are probably like meek and mild to you, huh? Majority.
Dale Patrick's is big on him. It's just once they got to a certain point, like, what do you do other than like cut off someone's arm? Like, I was waiting for one of them to be attacked by an alligator or something to like lose a limb or lose.
I'm just
a finger.
like I just I couldn't see Steve-O's balls one more time. You know what I mean? I mean, how many times are they gonna try to attach something to his scrotum?
It's kind of like the Hostel or any of those like snuff films where like people enjoy watching like realistic deaths. I'm like, nah.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same deal. You only get so much of it before it's like, yeah, okay, I'm done. Like, not to poop on anybody, but that JJ Escobar guy told me he was a stuntman. So I asked him, okay, what school you go to? Because in order to be a stuntman, you got to go to school. He's like, I've been doing YouTube for 10 years.
Yeah,
the school of YouTube? Is that what I heard?
No, essentially, 10 years of doing YouTube qualifies you to be a stuntman.
I see.
Yeah,
like, I've watched plenty of stuntman videos. I could probably pull off a lot of the same stuff they do.
Mm-hmm.
Just come on, guys. Don't tell people you're a stuntman and you don't have a certification.
Right.
Like Insane Lane, he's a deathmatch legend. Like, he has a rocket degree. I made him prove it to me that he has a rocket degree and he's going out and doing death matches. It's so great. I love death matches. They're awesome. The deathmatch community is so great. So many characters.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you too, but I just have like some bullet points here, and I definitely want to hit the J.J. Allen guy. I think he's always an interesting topic.
You mean J.J. Escobar?
Is that who it is? The same guy?
Yeah, J.J. Allen is a singer.
Okay, yeah, J.J. Escobar. Yeah, he.
And I could call up Schlack and ask him. He'd probably be like, disgrace, disrespect. Oh. Or no, that's G.G. Allen. That's who I'm thinking of. That's the singer. J.J. Allen, I think, is the actual like J.J. Escobar dude.
Yeah, in his real form or whatever, in his hybrid.
His non-terrorist looking form.
Yeah.
That sounded like a
while you guys
disappointment.
are talking. And I'm like, who are these characters? Who are these people? So I'm looking them up as you're talking.
Look up Schlack. That's all you need to know. Is like you'll look up him, and he's like a giant pit bull.
Schlack is if like deathmatch, like if a deathmatch spirit somehow appeared above a deathmatch. Like, you know what I mean? Like if we all circled the ring and summoned this creature out of like deathmatch energy, it would be a Schlack.
Yeah, that's why he's all tattooed up. Those are all his symbols of like anarchy and chaos. Like his chaos symbol, I was in a match and he ended up getting cut right across his temple. And he has a huge scar now. Now I've got one because of a mirror at IWA King of Death. So I'm gonna walk up to him next and be like, "See, we're twins. We both got cuts right in the same spot." He's probably gonna look at me and be like, "You're an idiot, Neil. Such a moron." Like, I love taking pictures with him because he always looks so annoyed when he's around me. Like, oh, Schlack's that big brother that finds me very annoying.
Hey Neil, can you tell what this thing is?
It looks like two wrestling fighter gimmick thing.
Yeah, me and
headbutting.
A couple episodes ago, we talked about our dad and how he takes random stuff around the house as we grew up, and he'd make toys out of it. And he would always make me like little football guys out of like magnets and little pieces of wood, and where you'd flip the magnet, and then the other guy would catch it because of the magnets.
Oh, that's super cool.
And he would make like, he'd make like little hockey players and football guys. He would make the stadiums with the field goals and the crowd and everything.
Oh, that's super neat.
Yeah, my dad made this for my son for his birthday, and it's two boxer guys. I'm gonna try to hold it. Like there's like a metal framing in there, and then like when you push this button down, they go at it.
Dad just made that?
Yeah. And
you're kidding me.
And to avoid copyright issues, my mom said we'll call this one Deontay Fury, and this will be Tyson Wilder. We'll just like hybrid the names, and it's two I don't know, I guess two white dudes, and if you get them in,
paint them to be like different indie guys.
When you
headbutting each other.
When you get it in there close, you know, they start sparring and throwing punches.
That is amazing. I had no idea he was working on that. Does he have like a route, you know, a miter saw or whatever it would take to cut those guys out?
Yeah, I would think so. Look here, like he put like a wire through the shoulders, so like
I see it. Swing.
Yeah.
And what kind of mechanism brings them together with that button? That is, Dad.
He found a piece of metal with just enough pressure on it to where it looks to me like it arches up. So like as I put down on the thing, that makes their front feet like suck in.
Yeah, it would push and lean them. Yeah.
And then like if you look, I don't know how else I can hold it really.
Yeah.
Like Like, can you see it doing that in there?
Yeah, I see just a pressure tension of like a piece of, yeah.
Yeah, that's killer. I figured I'd show that off. I mean, that's...
Jesse, that is so cool. Dad's calling. I mean, he was a toy maker. He is like Geppetto.
Yeah, that's wild. He just go in the garage for a couple of days and just come out with stuff. He'd use anything around the house. Like, he would use unpopped popcorn kernels for, like, the football helmets of the guys, and he'd paint, like, a stripe on them, and it's just all kinds. Yeah, just all kinds of stuff. I wanted to get that in there, and I got to go. Do you watch any? Are you a sports guy at all, Neil?
I've been trying to get back into football, but wrestling has kind of dominated my life as of recent. So I'm a big 49ers fan, so go Niners.
Right on. Yeah, they got...
Oh, wait, that's right. You guys don't have a football team. Ha, 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 ha.
Bullshit. 6-5, my friend.
Yeah,
we won the last, 5-6 games. We have a football team.
Who?
Indianapolis Colts.
Wait, what state are you in?
Oh, yeah, okay. I'm sorry. I forgot. I'm in Indianapolis. There you go. Like, I got all riled up. I'm like, bullshit.
But, man, I'll tell you, Neil, are you inside my head? Because you're almost like, you're hammering away these transitions and segues into exactly where I'm going. It's so weird. Like, yeah, I don't have
interview ninja. Hoo ha ha.
God, you're thinking some weird shit right now, or is that just me? I don't know. But yeah, I went to my first college. Well, my first Big Ten college football game. I got to take my father-in-law paid for the tickets, and we went. It was Iowa versus Illinois here in Iowa City, and man, what an experience! I'd only been to a couple other college games, Ball State and Muncie, Indiana, and to go to a Big Ten game where there was 60,000 people roaring and screaming, and it was a beautiful day here, like 50 degrees for November. The sun was shining. We were right behind the goalpost, and we had been through so much shit from moving to Texas during COVID to coming up here. And my son, he has autism, and because of that, I have to be on a fixed income to get the insurance he needs. So I've been battling insurance and moving, trying to find work and all these things, and going to this game was always like maybe the coup de grace of finally getting settled in to where we live. So like when I was at the game, I found there were a couple of instances where I just started crying. Like maybe it was like when they started playing the music right before the team came out, and the whole building the whole arena just shook. Like it just swept me away. Like, you know, I'm like a 40-year-old mushball now, but it just they just took me over. And then they do Neil, they got the children's hospital built high enough to where they can overlook the field. And then at the end of the first quarter, everybody stops and they wave. And that got me. I mean, it was just like
a real cool moment.
It was like it was just, you know, going to a football game I didn't think would be emotional in that kind of a way, but it was just like this big cleansing moment of, I don't know, and it was my father-in-law's first Iowa game ever, and he's been a fan for life at the age of 53. So we got to get him in there, and it was just, everything just came together. And one of the linemen playing actually moved us in here. A year and a half ago, we hired a moving team to move us from Texas to Iowa. And when you hire movers, they usually just find random guys in whatever town you're moving to, and they just sort of hire them for the day. So I had two guys that looked like they had a questionable background, and then this one really giant kid. who was like who was like 6'8", 300 pounds. Like he just looked like a giant, like how you would think a person would be, but every part of him was like 3 times as thick as it would normally be. Like he was just this huge Neanderthal kid, and I think, okay, I'm in Iowa, so I'm gonna ask him about football, right? And I go, so do you play football? He said, yeah, I'm going into my senior year of high school, and I've committed to the Iowa University. And he said that he'd already talked to Kurt Ferentz, the head coach, and everything. And at that point, me as a football fan, I was enthralled by this kid, but I didn't want to be a weirdo about it. But
that'd be a little weird.
I'd ask him questions.
You're in high school and this weirdo guy is asking about my future. Like, oh.
Yeah, and so this big giant man that was crouched down in my apartment, turning an Allen wrench, putting my son's bed together, was out there smashing people on Saturday, and it was just such a connection there, because all of those guys that play there are from around here, literally. Like, they're just community people, and I think that's the connection to the team. And outside of the deathmatch fans, this was probably the most enjoyable, kindest group of people, like as far as like personal space and talking to you, sharing the alley, the walkway to get around. Nobody was being rude. No, they even treated the Illinois fans great. Everybody was nice, and it was just a cool experience. I think it was just kind of like crossing the finish line to finally feel like I'm getting settled into where I'm at. I don't know why, I didn't know where I was really going with that, but I felt I needed to be.
I was wondering. I was like, this is going on for quite a bit.
But
I wonder where the question's gonna be.
But
it's a super good story, because like it's just that sense of relief. Like, it's done. Like, now I can finally relax, get that moment to breathe, and just enjoy a moment. Now I'm gonna turn heel for a second, because I don't like college football.
Yeah,
it's a little too fast paced for me. I'm more of a chess match kind of dude. Like, I want to see professionals at the top of their game playing what they play. That's the only reason why. That, and I think, like, if they're making video games and millions of dollars off of these kids, like, nah, you give them a little bit of that, like, or put it towards their tuition, like, give them a free ride, something like that. Because their name value and their likeness rights are what's making you that money. So, like, maybe they don't directly make the money, but maybe their tuition is paid for. Like, something like that. Like, they got to be able to benefit off of millions of dollars, and they can't say they can't help out. Like, come on, it's millions of dollars.
right.
So, like, yeah. Other than that, go college, I guess.
Yeah, right on.
But to kind of have that finish line kind of moment, though, is like when I came out and got to wrestle Masada. Like, and I stood across the ring, and people were doing the Honey Badger Masada chant, and I was just smiling. That was all just finally took me forever to get to this point, and I'm finally here. Mission accomplished. Like, technically, after that match, I could have retired and been happy, but as the year goes on, you gotta set new goals, and life moves on, and get time to get to the next mountain peak per se. But definitely, when I got to stand there, and even when like the skewers hurt like hell, but like in that moment, I'm smiling. I'm just like, yeah, this is awesome. Like, in my head, I'm like, yeah, this is the greatest moment of my life right now. And a little bit of the other part of my head's going, what the hell's wrong with you? You're an idiot. You're a moron. Why'd you let this man stab you in the face with skewers? But mostly it's all, happy I finally got to have this moment. And I never grabbed to take him out, even when one was pushing into my, temple here. That sucked. But outside of that, everything was glorious.
Damn.
Yeah, it was cool. I could feel the energy from you. When I think you had just beaten Atticus, and then I think the boss come out and told you, right? Wasn't that kind of when it was first publicly said that you were going to
No, the thing that it was Atticus went out and Danny walked up and he's like, "Hey, if you can beat him tonight, call out Masada, like do your thing." And I was able, like, that's why I brought up Masada, because I was like, "No, dude, like, no, you stole it from him. Like, I'm gonna show you what it's like to face someone who's not gonna stop. Like, I will never forgive you for this kind of thing." And that's why he kept stabbing me all over, because I'm like, "You're not Masada, fuck you." Taking him out, throwing him, and just trying to prove the point to a young kid, like, dude, I may be an old dog or whatnot, but I am relentless and I will not stop. If you disrespect someone I respect highly, no, that does not pass or fly with me. So, and I was able to beat him and was able to call him out. The only thing someone got upset for me was like, "Oh, you gonna face him in the chains or the pit?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I think the pit." Like, everyone just looked at me like, "Oh, okay, cool, yay," you know. But yeah, it was more of Danny said, if you can beat him, you call your shot. Like, you definitely earned it. So, and through all the skewers, like, I probably had 40 to 60 skewers stabbed into me that night. That kind of sucked. So, but
Yeah,
we got to the end game.
How do you win a death match? I mean, I know that's a naive question, but tell me, when is the white flag waved? I mean, tell me the end of a death match. Surely not death, right?
For me, no. The goal isn't death. Even though I have had people bring like knives and swords and things and be like, "Use this," but it's not. I'm not trying to decapitate them, guys. No. Like, let's relax here. Hold on, give me a second to think. Okay, the question was, what's the point of a death match, right?
Well, like, who wins? How do you know who wins? What happens at the end, and how do you become a victor?
You gotta either, just like a normal match, you gotta tap them out, or or pin them, or you can knock them out. Like, there's 3 kind of options, which go along in wrestling too. Like, you can knock out your opponent. You just gotta do a 10 count. Usually in ICW no holds barred, where I mainly wrestle, we have referee's discretion. So if, like, Eric Ryan's kicking me in the back of the head and I can't defend myself, they'll just call it because there's no way I can get out of it, kind of deal. Saying I like to tell people in death matches there are no rules. Like in Japan, if you grab the rope, it breaks the rope. But here in America, I'm like, no rules. Rope breaks don't matter. Like, if anyone can get in and start messing with us at any point, it's fair game. You know, like, there's not supposed to be any rules, no limits in a death match. Like, let's push that to the boundary where fans aren't jumping in. You know, kind of let anything happen, but have it controlled to it. You know, so to me, there's no rules. As long as you pin, submit, or knock them out, essentially is kind of the goal. A lot lately, guys have wanted to go like that MMA route and just try to knock out dudes. I want to humiliate them. Like, I want to pin them. I want to get that 1, 2, 3 and be like, "Hi, I knocked you out long enough to keep you down for 3. Haha." Kind of like a 9-year-old child. That way I can be like, "Nah, I beat you."
Well, you mentioned something earlier that I wasn't familiar with, which is these pigeon strips, which to you are like, that's kind of off limits. And so that was a question I had, as death matches evolve and fans evolve, what is going to be off limits ultimately, or is it evolving into something different, or do you see it kind of fading out, or where's the future?
Well, talking to a few like real knowledgeable deathmatch fans and veterans of the deathmatch scene, like, we've all kind of come to the conclusion that right now we're in the golden age of deathmatches, where you're seeing highly innovative things come out of people that you aren't quite expecting. Like, I primarily wrestle in a ring that has chains instead of ropes. So you can't throw me against the ropes. I'm just going to hit metal and stop. There's no backlash to it, or you can't do a lot of aerials. One thing I said when I came into ICW is I'm going to tame the chains, and I'm the only one who really jumps off of them or tries to do aerodynamic things off of them and whatnot. But we're going to just see different styles more be put into death matches. Like death matches are becoming more of a thing with Lou Dark and Sadaka. I'm trying to think. There was another, or like Arrow Boy and Mieto, Extremo, and Salope coming from all Mexico and bringing in that lucha flavor. But then you got guys who are me, who are small, but I'm a little aerial, I'm a little brawling, I'm a little crazy in there. And you just get a different mix of death matches. So it doesn't really get old per se, as long as you're wise about the stories you're telling. And I think everyone's being really wise about how they interpret weaponry into their stuff. It's not, you're not just going to see people throw shit at each other constantly. It's going to be different than the last death match you probably saw, because the variety of guys bringing different attributes in have really made it a really good time to actually be a deathmatch fan, because you're going to get so many different flavors in one big pot. Like a tournament, you're going to get a little bit of everything in a good tournament, So I think it's just evolving to the point where it's going to be, I wouldn't say harder to top, but it will be more about the story than the weaponry, which it's slowly turning into that, where it's more, yeah, we know we've seen all these weapons stuff. We haven't seen a good story really inside of that. Like, you need Amon. He's a great storyteller in deathmatch. Probably the greatest storyteller of all time in deathmatches, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's cool. What do you, I know, Jess, you had been to a death match recently. I don't know if you were wanting to share any of your experiences.
I'd say, yeah, I mean, as you can probably tell by looking, I'm probably not like, I'm a pretty clean cut kind of straight edge dude for being a deathmatch fan. I mean, I know there's all kinds, but I mean, I'd say that, I may not always fit the stereotype, but I mean, I still I still enjoy them. And I remember when I went to my first one, I didn't know what to expect, like, from the fan base. Like, I don't partake in a lot of the recreational things. Like, the only bad habit I have is public masturbation. And then I don't know if that's really public. If you got
whoa, that's weird. That's kind of weird, man.
I'm just out there. I'm trying to get it licked, Trying
to grip.
But
we ever meet in person, I'm so giving you that accused look, like, when you go to the bathroom, are you really wanking it? Giving you the stink eye.
Yeah.
What you're doing.
Yeah. But I was surprised deathmatch fans are actually some of the coolest people ever. I mean, a lot of them look like they're background characters from like a Street Fighter video game, but I mean, really,
brawler.
But they're like they're like the enemies on the Streets of Rage from the Genesis.
Yes. Totally. That's a good analogy.
But I mean, they're like the coolest people. Like, they understand personal space. They'll laugh at a joke. They'll talk to you. I was actually I was at a deathmatch tournament. Let's see, I don't want to jump around too much, but just an example of how cool the fans are. I was at what's the one that Ian ran behind the American Legion, where it was Tremont.
That was King.
It was Tremont and John Wayne Murdoch in the finals, and Tremont got thrown off the scaffolding through some chairs. And
that was King.
Yeah.
I don't know which King. It may have been it was either 15 or 16.
Yeah, I had left the trunk of my car open, all right, Neil, the whole night by accident, and all my shit was in there because, like, I traveled in from Texas. My family lives in central Indiana, so, you know, when I visit them, sometimes I would try to pair it up with a deathmatch tournament. So all our travel stuff is in the back of this Equinox, okay, and we had left the latch open, and I didn't know till like totally the end of the night was over, and there would be people standing around back behind the vehicle and this and that. But the crazy thing is, dude, like nobody took anything, like nothing was touched, like it was just, you know, my bad for judging those people. You know what I mean? Like they're the most.
Well,
They're the
to
most.
be fair, like, you know, if you look at a crowd like the people that you see at deathmatch shows, like I'll give them a double look, and I'm a pretty homeless looking kind of person in my normal life, so like I understand why people would kind of judge a book by its cover, you know, because you never know with people. Like I've met quite a few juggalos who deserve that stanky kind of reputation. So, and some of them are very polite, very, very book smart kind of people. So, you know, you kind of take a coin flip with that, you know.
Yeah, it's my first tournament was the 2003 one. I loved IWA's old Clarksville building. You know what I mean?
That big gymnasium.
Yeah, the behind the Colgate factory there along the river. I love that building, and I remember I bought my tickets for that. A lot of people always have like negative things to say about Ian for whatever, I don't know. I've had nothing but good experiences with the guy. I can't speak for everyone, but I remember how sweet his wife Patty was. Did you ever meet her?
Oh God, I miss Patty so much. You have no idea, dude.
I bought my tickets. This is in 2003, Neil, so they didn't do like, you couldn't do like cell phone tickets or whatever. So I filled out a money order and I mailed it in to the Rottens, and she I think messaged me back through email saying that she got the money order and she wanted to know if she should hold on to the tickets or mail them to me like in an envelope. And I was so excited just to have the tickets that I asked her if she would mail them to me, and she mailed them to me, and she wrote like a mom note in the envelope, like, here sweetheart, you know, hey, hang on to these, don't lose them, you know, Patty. And I'm thinking, and then we get to the building and I'm just like awestruck because, you know, for the most part, you know, I just lived it through the old Smart Mark video VHS tapes, right? So like I feel like I'm waiting in the door to kind of go in and I kind of don't know what to do and I'm hesitating, and she's, you know, like, you gonna come in or not, you know? And then I go in there, she takes the tickets, and I've always enjoyed IWA Mid-South. Like I always have. I know that there's always people that want to say this and that about them, but I've always enjoyed the product. You know, I know that people come and go and shit like that, but they've just been kind of chugging along, you know, all these years. And hell, I like, have you had a chance to wrestle at the New Albany building yet? They got over there?
No, so I've seen clips and pictures of it, but at this current moment, I have no interest in working with Ian until he rights a wrong with me. It's actually quite petty, but still, got to stand for what you believe. So, like, any deals that we've had, like, I can honestly say Ian's never screwed me, because whatever deals we made, those are the deals we made. That's between us. Like, and I don't feel like he's ever like really screwed me, except for maybe the most recent like petty thing. But yeah, like I saw Herzog down there, and I had no idea he was booked for the Lethal Lotto, and I was like, good for him. Like, yeah, go get it, man. Like, just because I'm not working there doesn't mean you can't. Like, go get your exposure and all that. Like IWA is still looked at as like a place that like you have to go through as a rite of passage on the indies. Like all the greats have basically been through IWA Mid-South at one point or another, despite whatever Ian may have with problems with whoever, So that's talking to younger guys. That's kind of the vibe I get from a lot of them. They just want to do their little stint there, get their little bit of experience, and move on to the next.
Yep. Oh man, I got a cold. I've been sick since. If I'm coughing, I found a part-time job at it's like a prison / mental institution.
That's a great mix.
I'm gonna be a instructor there, like a teacher. So not law enforcement or nothing. Just to clarify.
Okay.
I'm not. So I'll be teaching guys how to like write resumes and save their money, like how to live once they get out.
Oh, okay.
And I had to do a self-defense. I had to go through a self-defense class last Friday, and we're all like sweating, grabbing each other, throwing knees and shit. And I think somebody got me sick. So I got this big like pile of throat lozenges I've been carrying around, but I could every morning I check my email and I get the nightly report of what some of these guys do. I don't know. I could share some of those stories for a second. There was a guy that tore out his entire catheter, bag and all. Then he ate it.
Yeah, pass.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, I'm a weirdo in wrestling who claimed to give people oil checks, but like, that's a bit much.
That's bad.
There was a guy that put each new instructor I asked him what was the biggest thing these dudes ever jammed up their ass. And they'll take. One guy took 2 number 2 pencils and jammed them up his dick hole, and then I would hear all these like crazy ass stories. But luckily for me, the people that I get are the good ones. They're not from the totally far out side of things where they're
Supermax side.
Yeah, I brought up the 2 pencils and they weren't even phased. I said, "What is that? Is that rookie numbers? Was that just like?" They said, the new thing they do is they bust the sprinklers out of their cells and jam them up their ass. Like the round piece. I don't know why you would do that, but they do that. And then one guy said a nurse had a guy laid out on a table like for an alien autopsy, and she had you know what hemostats are? Like the long...
Mm-hmm.
She was all the way down into his penis, clanking the end of a pencil. She couldn't grab the pencil to get it out. It was up into his stomach, like halfway.
Jesse, why are you telling us this?
I don't know, because it's just crazy. I got to tell.
Okay, hold on. That reminds me of I was hanging out in a hotel room, buzzed out of my mind, highest guy, and like everyone's talking about like twisted movies they've seen, and then Shane Mercer, this is the only part I really remember, Shane Mercer and Schlack having a conversation about a movie where a dude is literally burying someone alive in a bucket, like in a barrel, and like this person goes through like the 7 stages of death or whatever they call it, and like they just keep going and going and going about detail. And like the only thing running through my brain is like, oh man, like why would you watch that? Like I'm questioning like these guys are normal, or is it like is my reality kind of shifting here? Did I fall through a hole or something? Is this the drugs affecting me? That kind of thing. And then John Wayne Murdoch looks up and he's like, "Hey Neil, you've been real quiet." And he get a big shitting grin across his face because he knows I'll say something ridiculous. And I'm just like, no, through truck driving, I've seen enough real dead bodies to not be curious about who gets buried alive in a bucket. I'm good. And I just go back to like rocking. and like looking down, like spacing out again, and everyone just gets real quiet and stares at me for about 5 minutes. I look up and I'm like, "What?" I said, "It's life, man. Like, go on, space out here." Like, I just didn't want to take part in that kind of thing. Like, I've seen Hostel, like, but I won't watch that. Was it Green Hell movie about the cannibals? Like, nah. I've seen some real ones. Like, I'm good. I don't need to see that shit no more.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, working for the Department of Corrections is just, it's interesting. It's a whole different. Those guys will size you up. Like, I'm in there with a room of them. It's me. It's gonna be me and about 8 or 9 of them, and you gotta
need to grow a mustache.
Yeah.
You gotta scare them all. They'll be like, "Oh no, this guy's got a stash. Leave him alone.
Yeah,
he's wild."
I'll have to. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's interesting because I've always been interested in weird shit. I mean, hence deathmatch. I mean, and then like the weird behavior of these guys. It's just kind of. But I don't know if you have anybody on your deathmatch circuit that would swallow medical supplies. Maybe Schlack. Like, he might when he's done rolling. When he's done rolling,
he's got internal bleeding. I can see him swallowing like gauze just down his throat. Oh, that'll do. That'll work.
When he's done rolling cars over in the local junk lot for fun, he can swallow some gauze.
Why not? He eats glass. Might as well. You think he pops like Tums after he eats glass? Like, oh, my stomach, heartburn. Oh, Tums.
I'm pretty sure he's got glass inside of him. Permanent. Do you actually, Neil? Do you have glass in you somewhere right now as we speak?
I don't think so. I think I have all far. I'm just waiting for this giant hole in my head to heal up. So, like, no, it's been. How did that happen? Just too many gussets in the same area over a course of a month. Like, you got to think, over the course of October, I think I wrestled 6 or 7 times, and usually it's like 2 or 3 times over a weekend. And like, I don't use what we call a gig. Like, I don't poke or anything or slice. I just use a natural gusset plate to put holes in my head. And I'm guessing when the first one went in and they went to do the second, they moved over ever so slightly and just kept making a bigger hole as time went on.
Gotcha.
And just when it was trying to heal over, a piece of hair got into it and got caught underneath the scab and just caused it to turn into a skin infection. So it's scabbed over now and doing fine. Like, I just need to let it do its thing so I don't have a hole in my head. It'll actually be kind of semi-even. But I'll have a hole in my hair, though, right on top. Very noticeable if I shave it down. So
I never thought in a million years you guys would use those gussets on each other. I mean, I had a part-time job as a college student working at a Lowe's home improvement store in the lumber yard. And, you know, you see shit. But, I mean, never 20 years later would I think you guys would be punching gusset plates into your domes. Like, I mean, it's so... Real quick, I want to talk about the gussets, and then we can run down these questions real quick. But, yeah, I mean... let's say a weapon's introduced. Was there ever a moment when you guys were like, so are we going to pull the plug on these gussets, or are we going to roll with this? Like, was there ever...
Oh, no. It's one of those things, like, once something rolls, it's like a snowball. Like, if you noticed after Sami Callihan used skewers once on national TV, now fucking everyone does it. Like... And he didn't say nothing or mention anything to Masada. Like, to me, that's disrespect because he made it normalized to do that kind of thing. Like, I've had people ask me to do it before I had an encounter with Masada, and I was like, no, I refuse to do it. And they're like, why? Like, because I have too much respect for Masada. He originated it. Like, no. Unless he gives me permission to do so, no. And after our encounter, I got permission. So now I can fuck people up with them. But, you know, there's a whole, like, slew of rules that went with it. But, you know, I'm actually officially allowed to stab people with skewers now. But it's one of those things where once something gets used, it's gonna take a life unto itself and start manifesting in a different way. Like now we got, once Danny Havoc and Masada had that gusset plate match, it was downhill from there. It was just going to get bigger and bigger and worse. So just like anything else in death matches. So.
All right, you ready for me to drill you with some questions?
Oh yeah, well I'm gonna drill you back, buddy.
I'm ready. Hey man, I'm around guys that put pencils in their dick, so we got
talk about a new way of docking.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, I guess you have to. How do you train up to that? You just lube Q-tips up, and then just kind of work your way up, or you just go on the deep end and.
I don't know, man.
Sharpened. They got to be sharpened, right?
I would assume so.
But all right. Let's see. I'm trying to shorten some of these up here. You remember the Southern Sickness Cup in Memphis?
Yes, 2019.
Yeah, I was the guy that brought the 850 tubes in the U-Haul van.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate you, good sir.
Yeah,
I had a fun long match with John with a shitload of tubes.
Yeah, I wanted to be, me and a buddy of mine, Machik Sharepa is his name. He was a friend of mine while I was in the Air Force, and then I stayed friends with him. I got him to ride with me, and it started off, I got a good deal on Facebook Marketplace for about 400 8-footers and some panes of glass for like $200. So I sent that image to JC, and then he posted it on his like Facebook Southern Sickness thread. I was going to stop there, but then Matsuhiro Matsunaga liked the post. So I was like, well, okay, I got to keep going. So I found 2 or 3 more good deals. I found a guy in Fort Worth, Texas that had a couple hundred. Then I found a guy in Stillwater, Oklahoma that had a couple hundred. And before I knew it, and then I even had some, I went and bought some at Lowe's just to do it. So I had this, I was living in base housing, and half my carport was light tubes, like this mountain of light tubes. And I taped all the loose ones up into like 3s and 4s, and me and my buddy loaded this van up and drove from Wichita Falls, Texas to Memphis, Tennessee for that tournament, because I wanted to be the guy, the fan that brought the most tubes ever. I think I am that guy. And then I wanted
You're one of them.
Yeah, and then I wanted to set the record for the most tubes ever in a match, because I know Big Japan did 444 with Kobayashi and Miyamoto, if I'm saying his name right. It was literally a wall of glass. So I know JC put most of those tubes out there. There was probably at least 800 in that finals with Akira, John Wayne, and the dude that won, whose name I can't even remember. Reese?
Cody Rice.
Yeah. So we accomplished that. JC was super appreciative, and which I appreciate. I just wish, just from a deathmatch cultural standpoint, that it would have stuck a bit more. Like, I think that match and that finals just kind of maybe just got lost in the shuffle of things or the annals of time. But you would think if a light tube record was set, it would still be like noted to this day, or maybe spoken a bit more. But
that probably speaks more to the notoriety of the company. Like at the time, Trainwreck wasn't very well known. It was still coming up in its own name, and sometimes those matches just kind of fall to the wayside sometimes, unfortunately. Like, I want to do that million thumbtack death match. CZW claimed to have 1 million thumbtacks, and I'm like, that doesn't look like the right square yardage. So I looked it up, and like they cheated by like half. And I'm like, no, I want a full 1 million thumbtacks. Like, would the Guinness Book of World Records like be willing to do it? And they're like, no. And I'm like, oh, come on. Like, Guinness Book of World Records, my ass. Guaranteed I could come up with some crazy shit they could put in there.
Yeah.
And no one else would be willing to do it. Like, I want to do Saw Reborn, where it's all about, well, I can't tell you what it's about. I can only tell you the name. But because now I got to be careful with what I said, because I said something about doing a 90s flashback death match, and some kid took it and did it somewhere else. And I was like, learn my lesson. Never doing that again. So.
Yeah, you can't put the genie back in the bottle, they say. Once an idea's out there, it's out there. Or it's... Yeah.
I just don't think the numbers really matter that much out here anymore, because once it gets to so many, like, it's just glass for the sake of glass. Like, a dude like me, like, I'm going to be so excited because I'm going to be able to pile the glass up so much that it's just going to be nothing but glass, which is awesome. It's like having razor sharp snow. Like, I just love the idea of it, just full anarchy and chaos. That's hilarious to me.
Bridging off of the sickness cup, I wanted to ask you, and you'd mentioned Escobar earlier. I went to the most recent Southern Sickness Cup over there in the Dixie Quick building over there at Connorsville.
Is that where Bobby Beverly beat me in the first round?
It was, your match was probably the best match of what I witnessed. I'm going to tell you, I got there, it was another one of those deals. I stayed with my family, and then I went to the show, and it started a little bit late, which is okay, I understand. I mean, there's a lot of stuff involved, and it was your match, and then I think it was Akira and Ruben, and then they got to, and by then it was like roughly midnight, and then we were seated next to this Escobar guy's crew. Like, they all looked like a bunch of, like, wannabe jackass people. And I was kind of like, I was a little bit irritated by those guys. And I could tell, I'm pretty good at reading a room. And I could tell that even though Ian was in the building, this was obviously JC's baby, right? The Sickness Cup.
Yeah.
But there was like this, I think from the previous year, maybe with all of the tubes and all the craziness, everybody was so juiced up and ready that it just felt like maybe something was going to cross the line, or there wasn't like a voice of reason, like maybe that there needed to be. So midnight strikes, and everybody's kind of lackadaisical and sort of tired, and I was sitting next to a relatively normal old guy, and we were talking about race cars and shit most of the evening. And anyway, here comes Escobar's match, right? He comes out with the potato gun and his meth addict manager guy, right? They come out, and his cronies are cheering him, and he's wrestling Eric Ryan, which is interesting.
I already know what you're getting to.
Well, yeah, okay. And let me build it up at least, and then I'll be interested in you. So,
too late.
So the match starts, and I'm thinking, first of all, like, from what I've seen of this Escobar dude and everything, and I'm thinking, like, Eric Ryan's really the real deal. So, like, I don't know if these two guys I mean, this is going to be interesting. Like, are we, because I could kind of, it just had like a different tone to it. And then they started breaking the TVs. They did the neck breaker deal out of the ring. Then they go around to the far side. I was on the opposite side, okay, where y'all were coming out. So they're on the far side of me. And Escobar gets his weed whacker. And then one thing leads to another. Escobar's down. I see Eric Ryan getting the Kingsford out, and it's a pretty big it's an abnormally huge bottle of Kingsford, and Ryan doused him pretty good. Like, I think it was maybe far beyond what was expected. I mean, he latched down and squeezed that Kingsford for what seemed like an eternity, okay? And then he lights Escobar's groin on fire, and I guess his intentions were to weed whack his flaming balls. And this dude goes up like a Roman candle, okay? I mean, he's first of all, he uses fire in the building, which is a no-no because the sprinkler system is linked to that entire shopping center. So he could have easily wiped out Tractor Supply. I mean, and God knows what, Taco Bell, whoever, Subway, whoever was on there.
Yeah, a lot of businesses.
Yeah, he slams his body repeatedly against the drywall, breaks it in an attempt to put himself out. His crony buddies don't have any water ready. They're just pouring what they've been drinking out of. And he runs around for what seems like an eternity, but I'm pretty confident it was almost a minute and a half. And he just misses this poor kid in like an electric wheelchair a couple of times. And he's rolling around, and it's pretty disturbing because I see JC as white as a ghost, just slumped in his chair because there's a fucking man burning right at a show that you're trying to conduct and try to get off without a hitch. His wife screaming like, "JJ's burning, JJ's burning," and that's all I remember is this guy, this fireball in the crowd running back and forth, and then he kind of vanishes. He kind of vanishes off in the back. I don't know if he got
No, he ran through the front door.
And the disturbing thing was, okay, there's the pin, and then I see Eric Ryan taking off his wristbands, and he looks disgusted and pissed, kind of like embarrassed or like, what the fuck is this? Like, he looked like a guy who was disgruntled legitimately. Not Eric Ryan disgruntled, but like a performer who's disgruntled, like walking to the back. And then I never see Escobar again because he goes out the front. All his buddies go out there, so our whole section is empty now because all those guys go out in the parking lot. And I remember I look over and the normal guy that I'm with is just shell-shocked like I am. And then there's some stoners behind me, and I'm like, is that the smell of that guy's skin? And they just kind of laugh. And I'm looking around, and like there's people eating hot dogs and just carrying on. And I'm
like it's a normal day.
Like this, I can smell this burnt man. So like Neil, of all the death matches that I've watched and been to, I couldn't do that. I just left. I grabbed my wife and I left, and I didn't come back the next night. I haven't been to a tournament or anything since that guy burned himself up. I watch you guys.
Well, I'm pretty sure you don't have to worry about that happening at other places. Because, like, Eric Ryan came to the back, and I saw him. I'm like, you okay? It smells like fire. And he's like, I just roasted something. Yeah. Went and sat down and normal Eric Ryan. Like, it just, yeah. 10 years on YouTube does not make you a stuntman. Because from what I hear, his pants melted to his skin. And, like, when I faced him, he had me weed whacker him in the balls. And, like, I wasn't nice about it. I didn't, like, stretch that string out or nothing like that. But I made sure it was, like, close. Like, I was like, no, dude, you want to do this? Fine. I'll make sure you don't have kids. Sorry. You chose this, not me.
Is there an angst towards that guy? I mean, just from a locker room standpoint. I mean, there has to be. To me, here's what happened, Neil. I needed closure on the situation, so I purchased the digital video of that tournament because the only way I was going to get over it was to try to watch what actually happened, and they edited out everything from the moment that his balls caught fire, and it just goes straight to Eric pinning him.
Wow.
And then I watched the rest of the tournament. It just looked to me like it sucked the air out of the tournament. Because, I mean, once you have
that for sure, yeah.
Once you have a guy almost burned to death, I mean, everything, it was a selfish move.
Well, let's be real. I don't think he would have burned to death. I just think he would have had, like, horrifying scars. But I don't think he would have died from it. Like, it was just a very poor choice made by a dude who really doesn't understand what he's doing. Like, after the event happened, like, I was mad because I was like, I just lost a working spot to make money at. So, yeah, screw that guy. But then I heard all the backstage stuff that happened and kind of let go of it. because I don't work for Ian anymore, so there's no point in being disgruntled over spilled milk. So when I ended up working him, like, I didn't have nothing against him. I was like, just don't hurt me. Like, you take whatever you want to take, but, you know, don't hurt me. Like, I'm important in the deathmatch scene. Like, you're just kind of here. Right. And like, just to show you kind of the intelligence of the dude, he gave me that power bomb through the carpet strip door, right? He tried to slide me to pin me, and I couldn't move because I was stuck in the carpet strips, and I'm not sliding my skin against carpet strips. Like, you know, like, the window, you know, the light bulb's on, but I don't think anyone's inside sitting down, you know? So
yeah, it was heartbreaking. It definitely it drove me from deathmatch wrestling for a while, and then I've slowly gotten back to where I'm watching the videos, but definitely that moment was just like, man, what the fuck am I doing here? And I came to like that normal person moment, like, yeah, I'm leaving. This is just silly.
You came to your common sense moment.
Yeah.
Like, I tell guys, like, who are diving into death matches, I'm like, you're not a death match dude till you have your shock match. They're like, what does that mean? I'm like, when you're done with it, you sit down and you really contemplate whether or not you want to keep wrestling, like, as a whole. Like, do I want to do this to my body forever? Like, you have one of those inner moment reflections of like, oh, what did I just do to myself? My match with Wax. You want to watch a messed up match, Kelly? Watch me versus Wax at 2010 King of Death. It's a 2 out of 3 log cabin match. And I literally get thrown from the apron to the floor with the DVD through a log cabin of light tubes. Like, it is horrific. Wow, I bleed a lot. I lost a lot of blood that night. But, like, that was my shock match. After that, I got eliminated, and the main event would happen. And every time something would be loud, because we were in a gymnasium, so everything was loud. Every punch, every kick, everything was loud. But every time it sounded like a shotgun, my body would convulse uncontrollably. And I had to have a really, like, heart-to-heart moment, like, do I really want to do this for the rest of my life? That's a shock match, you know, where you really contemplate whether or not wrestling is worth it, you know?
Wow.
Most guys don't have it for, like, maybe their first year and a half. Some of us get lucky. Like, I had mine 2 months into doing death matches, so I got to pick pretty fast, like, nah, I can do this. So
that was my wife's first tournament. I was there
at 2010 King of Death.
Yeah, I took her with me. You come out and asked us. You said something about if we're enjoying the violence or something. I don't remember. You're one of the most friendly, outgoing deathmatch guys. Like, you like to mingle around and talk to the folks, and that goes a long way. I mean, that's something the guy remembers. And I remember your match against Wax. That was fucking savage. Like, there's the rest of the tournament, and then there's Nils' match with Wax. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like, okay, like, because you did the DVD spot, and then I think you both fought halfway up a scaffolding and fell straight back into
he was trying to give me a belly-to-back suplex onto 2 log cabins off of the bleachers, which was probably 5 feet up. And I was able to turn and get into a cross-body kind of position. And what you don't know, well, you probably do. You probably watched it over. But I ended up shredding my elbows because I didn't have elbow pads. So when you see the ref lift my arms like this and you just see blood just pouring down, it's because I got a couple nicks right around the elbows. And I'm like this, and you just see me, and I'm like, no, I'm done. Like, I kind of have that necro butcher moment where it's like, no, I need to get to the back. Like, I need to see how bad this is. So, yeah, that was my coming to Jesus moment, I guess.
How long did it take you to recover?
Probably about a month and a half. And that was 2010. I would have been right around 30, I think. No. Wait, how old I have been? Probably 25 or so. Yeah, around 25. So, like, my recovery was, like, pretty quick because Ian would have a show the very next month, so I had to be there. You know, there was really no rest for the wicked if you wanted to make it in Ian's kind of camp. So like by the time the next show rolled around, though, it was more of I just took too many aspirins and bled too much, essentially, because it all ended up being nicks. I like didn't pull glass out of my head or anything like that for months later or weeks later. So really wasn't that bad. It's just I lost a lot of blood and no one helped me tape up. So when I went out for the main or for the semifinals, like I taped my arms myself so they were stuck the whole time. So I'm walking around like this. And I'm like, yeah, let's go, guys. Like, like you could tell this is not a good situation for me. And it was a dog collar barbed wire match. So we're connected by 2 links of barbed wire by the neck, and we never took it off because we're idiots. I should have said fuck this and took it off, but no, I'm a tough guy.
Oh my God. So
if you're gonna be dumb, you gotta be tough. So yeah.
That's one way of describing it.
That's awesome that you two were there, though. That's an interesting fact. I've probably met you guys multiple times and never knew it.
What's weird is like you're totally just segueing my interview with you, which is like the connection here is just really freaking. It's crazy because like you went right into that match, and that would have been. I would have eventually told you that we were there, and I would have said that match. But you're like already like into the. Let's see. I made a list of stuff. I'm trying to think. Like I don't want to bug the hell out of you.
No, you're good.
I just have like. I just look at all my like little like doodles that I thought of to ask you. So you ready? We'll do like we'll just do a little rapid fire here. I'll just say
all
something.
Right.
And all right. Let's see. You're just to start off. You're the second deathmatch guy that I've spent this much time with. My college graduation, I actually gave Pondo $200 to drive and hang out at my party. And it was a blast. You know how I got a hold of him? You remember Smart Mark Video before the DVD days? There would be a VHS. And it'd be a VHS tape, and then like the front of the cassette, they would have like a little fancy label of the event, and then they would put like a sticker on the back that would have like the matches. Well, it was a best of Pondo cassette, and they had Pondo's email on the sticker on the back of this VHS.
Oh, that's funny.
And I shot him an email, and I was like, "Hey, bro, you want to come and hang out?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'll do it." So you and him are the 2 guys that I've spent this much, time talking with. It's, like of all the wrestlers, deathmatch guys are like the most articulate and enjoyable, I think. Like, why do you think that runs in that genre the most? Like, you guys, people think if someone were to see a wrestle once, they think you spend the rest of your time in a cage eating raw meat, but you're not.
Well, then I imagine Schlack might be. Yeah. He might be in a cage, like eating raw meat and pumping iron and, swallowing eggs whole. It just, I think it's just such a wide variety of people come into the deathmatch community that we just accept you for who you are. Like, I've got a thing going on right now where if anyone tries to bring up like their skin color, their religion, or their sexuality, I have one thing I go above all else is I don't care where you're from, I don't care what gender you are, and I don't care what faith you have. We all believe the fucking same. So that's primarily why, like, you'll always see me face like newcomers to death matches, because I'm like, no, I'm welcoming you to the chaos. Like, come on, more the merrier, I say. It doesn't matter if you're a male, a female, if you're transgender. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. Do not care. We all believe the same. Everything is red. So, like, there's like, we're just accepting people. Like, there is one kid who tried to get over on a company because they didn't have enough black people representation, and like tried to make it a race thing. And I was like, whoa, slow down there, kiddo. Like, we don't care. If you're good, you're good. Like, you only need 3 things in the deathmatch community: be a decent person, be a good wrestler, and be kind to people. That's it. You know, that's why Ricky Champage and what is it? 440, like that's why they get such tremendous hate from everybody, because they're not nice to people. They're mean. Like, they're hella good at what they do, but they're kind of jerks. Like, and you don't see that in the deathmatch community. Usually everyone's like nice and buddy with each other, because we all understand that everyone comes from a different walk of life. So I think that's kind of why the deathmatch community is just so exciting, because like we're the outcasts, you know. Like, how many shows allow you to say whatever you want to say? Like, how many times do I call people cucks at deathmatch shows? Like, that's a dumb word. I just attached onto it one day and just kept calling people cucks and things now. It's not exactly a curse word, but if you're old enough, you kind of get what it means, you know. Kind of rides that borderline of cursing to a degree. And you don't get that anywhere else. You know, I can't do that at a family-friendly show, even though my jacket says the F word like 3 or 4 times. No one notices it because it's so small, so I never get in trouble for it. But, like, just going to deathmatch shows, you're kind of allowed to be you. You know, if it works, it works. If it don't, it don't. Like, people will suss out bad people real quick in the deathmatch scene. Like, we all understand we're weird, you know? Like, we all have weird things we go through. Look at Schlack. Like, if you ask him what's normal or what's a normal life to him, and he'll be like, I don't know, what's normal? Like, describe normal to me, because I traveled the world being in a band and wrestling and this and that. Like, the dude's traveled the world doing like 3 or 4 different type of jobs. Like, the dude is amazing. He's such an interesting story. But like, I come from a normal suburbia household. You know, I'm just attracted to wrestling and being super creative about it and just trying to give people a show they've never seen before. Adam Bueller, God rest his soul, like, he was a straight edge kid, so he never did any of the drugs or anything like that. He would always take limes and sweet stuff, and he would always bite into a lime after a tournament or something, because that's his way of being part of the drug scene, per se. You know, it's his way of getting drunk without getting drunk, you know, just doing something sweet and like tangly to the body, you know. So like, it's just, there's such a melting pot of different people who come together. Like, we've just accepted that as, that's kind of the thing. Like, yeah, just don't be mean. Just don't be mean to people, and you're kind of good.
That's cool.
So, we talked a little bit about your the fact that you got to wrestle Masato was amazing. I mean, I was like, that meant a lot to a lot of people. So I'm definitely happy you got that. I wish that you could have been on that Game Changer show. When you talk to them, I mean, they're going to definitely try again, right? I hope that they do.
Oh yeah. Like, when we were talking about it, they were like, it's unfortunate, but this is for the, you know, we agree with you, and that this is probably the betterment of everybody. And like, don't think you're off our radar or anything. Like, you'll get your chance to prove yourself. And I'm like, well, I just need that one shot. So you just let me know. That's kind of what it was left at.
I hope that happens for you. I myself I'm not the biggest Game Changer wrestling fan. I know that's probably going to alienate me greatly in the community. I like the older, grislier stuff. I think that I've bought maybe 6 of their pay-per-views on Fight, and oftentimes I kind of wish I would have spent that 4 hours doing something different. Like, I like the death match, like at the end. Like, what they did with Nick Gage and Cardona was beautiful. I mean,
yeah, great storytelling.
I mean, that was I don't think it can get much better than that. And I knew that Cardona was a one-off death match, but they hit it really well. Like, they made it seem like he was going to keep doing them, but then they phased him out properly. But I think that for me, their idea of I'm not a big like parkour guy. Like, their wrestling to me isn't wrestling. I mean, I know it's going to probably bother a lot of. I know everybody has their own take, but for me, I like the death matches and the hard hitting stuff. I'm not a big fan of like paying Fight TV $16 and like it's 4 hours of parkour and then I get my 10-minute death match at the end. Like it's not really. I like the ICW. Like I think that's for me. I like that, and I like IWA Mid South. It's just me. I mean, I know
that's the beauty of having like IWTV, because you can, if you have that for $10.99 a month, like you have access to over 250 companies who have multiple shows up by now, and like that's really what I pay it for, is so I can keep an eye on Freedoms if they put up a new show, or AAA if they put up a new show, or Zuma 23. Like, as much as I don't really want to go to Zuma 23, because without my glasses I can't see anything. Like that would be bad for me to walk around in a junkyard. Like I'll stab myself with a broken edge door or something.
Yeah.
Like, just being a goof. But like there's so many companies out there that you have access to with IWTV that, like, just because you're not a fan of GCW doesn't mean there's not something out there for you.
Right.
You know, or like fans getting in each other's faces because they like a company that they don't like. Like, who cares, man? Like, you're supporting the scene. That's what matters. Do you know who Mittens is?
Yes. Yeah.
One of the cleanup guys for ICW. People were giving him crap because he went to a GCW show. And we're like, no, good for him. Like, he's supporting the scene. Like, he loves GCW. He likes ICW. It's just ICW lets him help a little bit. Like, it's the only real difference. Like, he's a fan like everyone else and loves wrestling. Like, he's a huge CM Punk fan. I am not a fan of CM Punk, you know, but more power to him for getting all bonkers and crazy for him. Like, that's awesome. That's what wrestling should be about. Just the love of wrestling. And some people just take it a little too seriously, I think.
Yeah, I have no qualms of GCW. I just go in a different way, and I know that I want you to have the opportunity to be there because I understand the exposure, and I mean, once you're there, my God, I mean, you could. Would you go to Japan? I mean, if the
would I go to Japan? That's a good. That's a knee slapper right there. That's a good one. Good dad joke.
I take
would
that.
I like to go to Japan?
And that's a yes.
Yeah, man. Like for such a long time, Masada was the list. Like, people would be like, "Oh, who's on your bucket list?" It's like, there's only one name, and that's Masada. That's it. So I never gave forethought to, like, well, if I reach him, who else is there to work? And once the day came, and I actually knew Masada was in the building, I knew the match was going to happen. I was like, okay, I got to start thinking of new people to put on this list. That way I have a goal to get to. And the only three names that popped up immediately was Jukasai, Takeda, and I always say his name wrong, but I want to say Sakuda. They're all three Japanese deathmatch guys, and to me, they're probably the craziest people on the planet. If I can reach them in Japan or here in the States, like, all right, I've done pretty much everything there is to do. You know, Masada was the American pinnacle of death matches I've reached, and now it's time to reach the world. So those are my three top dudes right there, and they're all from Japan. So that is the end game.
I think they got Sakuda set for Sickness Cup, don't they? I think he was the number 2 guy. He's the shorter Japanese guy that gets the rod stuck in his face all the time, right?
I think he only did it the one time, but yeah, that's what kind of got him noticed.
Yeah,
I don't think he does it all the time. Yeah, I saw him for Time Bomb in May, and I was like, I'm so jealous of whoever's like going kind of nuts towards the owner of Time Bomb. And he's like, oh, well, yeah, it's my guy. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm just saying I'm jealous. I'm not saying put me in there. I'm just saying I'm jealous, all right? Little bastard. So I'm hoping I can cross paths with him while he's here. That'd be super badass. I think we'd make beautiful violence.
Yeah, you guys are kind of the same. There'd be a lot of cool shit you could do. A lot of athleticism. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'm still trying to convince ICW to bring in a cruiserweight, so then we can test who's really a cruiserweight, because I can do stuff off the chains, and I don't know if other people can or not. Yeah, so I want to test that theory.
I was gonna ask you, we could just ICW real quick. The owner's awesome. That guy, because he's so interactive. Like I've instant messaged that dude, or I've put comments on his posts, and he'll comment back or put a heart up there, a thumbs up, and like little interactive things with your fans really goes a long way. And I think that the ICW thing is really cool. The concept and the theory behind it. The one thing that gives me the heebie-jeebies, Neil, to be honest, is how much do you trust those little freaking wooden platforms on the corner posts? Because every time
I'm fine.
Every time you guys get up on these like rickety ass little like who puts those there? Is it a trustworthy individual that like welds those onto the tip of the post? I mean,
oh yeah. You don't understand. Like the reason the chains have been so tight as of late is because I do them. Like I want to make sure that the chains are done super tight. Yeah. Like I'm the kind of moron that's like, okay, guys, this is common sense. Like kind of putting stuff together. And they'll be like, oh, we don't know how to get these chains to come together. And I'll be like, well, simple physics will tell you that if you pull this and there's so much pressure, like it'll just come together, like just be kind of a smart ass about it. And then after like 2 or 3 times of trying to explain it to them, I'm like, just let me do it. Like you guys obviously are not understanding what I'm saying. And then like they just did their first show without me doing them. And like Weapon Master Ryan's the one who puts up the platforms and the chains and all that. And me and him become real good friends over the last year or so. And so he puts up the platforms and he helps me put the chains up. So yeah, I completely trust those platforms. Also, I'm a $150, so I could be up there soaking wet with block and still be perfectly fine on those platforms. Like I'm a little gnat compared to most people. When I see guys like Justin Kyle and Tankman start climbing that shit, I'm like, oh, this could be bad. This could be very bad. Because those guys are like 300 pounds a pop. Like, it's not meant to support almost a half ton of weight. Just like me.
You're not going to see Cruel and Satu Jin doing the superplex anytime soon, probably.
I can see Cruel doing it. Not to Satu Jin, though. To someone else, maybe.
You and Cruel would make a good tag team. You could ride in on his back like...
like a horse?
like the
I have my staple gun like this out in front of me, like, hi-ho!
I think that guy has got a future, but he runs like 5 different variants of that character. Like I wish he would just go Cruel and that's it. But I understand.
I don't know. I just think he looks like Jason from Jason X. He looks like a freaky version of that with that mask on.
He needs the leather shorts need to be a bit longer too. That kind of.
Gotta check that out. Like, note to self, leather shorts.
I was about to say she's like, oh, you gotta drop that in the Cruel. Is that with a C or K? Like, how do I spell that?
When Satu
little tidy shorts, you say?
Yeah, he's like a 7-foot guy wearing shorts that would fit Neil.
You could probably fit 2 of me into his shorts.
Yeah. he got that nasty shoulder gash when that pane of glass like didn't break worth a shit when Satu belt
Well,
like.
it wasn't tempered. It just like that's one of those things where like a sheet of glass just happened to get into the mix.
Mm.
Like accidents happen. Like I watched that video once and I was like, nope, never to see that again. Nope. Like I don't need to see someone's muscle and shit come out of their arm. Like I've already seen enough on myself. I don't need to see that crap. So, but yeah, that was pretty gnarly though. And he acted like it was nothing. No pain, no nothing. And then I found out like he got stitched up and a week later he's still fighting. I'm like, you're out of your mind, dude. I would have been like, time out, put me down, like knock me out till it's healed. Dude's out of his mind. I think it'd be hilarious to see me and him in a match. Just have him mumble to me and me be the only person who understands him.
Yeah. You kind of have like, I don't know if anybody's ever told you, but you kind of have like a Harvey Whippleman vibe about you. Like you could probably
What?
You could probably like manage him, or you could be like the. Yeah, I think you two guys would make an awesome team or some type of a duo. I mean,
I like the idea of me riding his back like a horse.
Yeah,
I just like that imagery. Like I treat him like he's a giant pet, and he treats me like his little pet. You know, like we're both confused about who really wears the pants in the relationship. Like, wait, what? You know, I tell him to attack, so he picks and throws me up and throws me at someone.
yeah.
Like, get him! Ah!
Who wears the leather daisies? The leather. Which guy's got the?
That's a pretty impromptu story right there. That's pretty good, Neil.
Hey, you have no idea. I like me and Satu Jin. People want to call us the Dream Wishers or something. The Dream Masters, I think, from Friday Nightmare on Elm Street, because we defeated Danny DeMonto and Nightmare Freddy. So me and Sawyer, like, you have no idea. I got all kinds of random tag teams everywhere. I'm not beholden to one person of tag team nature. Me and Sawyer Wreck are trying to make a tag team called Happy Tree Friends, and we're going to come out to Why Can't We Be Friends? And it's going to be nothing but tag team death matches.
Happy Tree Friends. I like it.
Well, you have no idea. That's a hell of a violent like cartoon for adults.
Oh no, I guess I don't. See, I told you.
Yeah, YouTube that. Yeah, YouTube.
No,
it's pretty funny.
I'm writing all these notes down. I'm afraid to do these searches, but I'm going to. You've inspired me, Neil.
Sorry, Jess. Next time you see Kellie, she's gonna be like all crazy, like, "Oh, I saw something I never wanted to see. I can't unsee them."
Yeah, I might be quiet for a while and in shock. Yeah.
All right, Neil. I was thinking, we talked about constructing weapons. Every now and then I see him utilize PVC pipe, and it works really great. So how come when they make the beds, like the barbed wire pits with the glass and the tubes, it seems to me if that could be constructed with some PVC pipe, that would be more ideal in a sense that you guys wouldn't blow your shoulders out landing on some 2x4s, and you could even dismantle it and build it again instantly to a degree. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know about you, but PVC pipe's still gonna hurt just as bad as wood because it's still hard ass plastic. So regardless, you got something hard coming at you. And wood's more recyclable than PVC pipe because that's made out of plastics. So from a natural, recycling point of view, wood is always better. But I really have no point to this argument. I just think wood looks better.
I know that there's been a couple of times where they've used it like...
no piece we used it for a barbed wire net.
Yeah, that's
like ideas like that I get, but like if you're making just a jumble mess of barbed wire, like there's really no way to kind of, wood's just with because you need actual like power tools to cut through PVC pipe. Where wood, you just need a handsaw. You don't need no electricity or anything.
Yeah.
I think that's primarily why wood's mainly used, but yeah.
This leads me to another idea. Has anybody ever taken your traditional brown wrestling table, flipped it upside down, and put 8-foot tubes through the upright table legs, and then slammed someone through the middle?
No, because as soon as you hit the center, probably just the vibration and hitting the V-shaped things, the legs are going to come down on top of you. So I would rather just have it legs flat and do something on it and reverse use it that way. And you can put tubes on that, like whatever.
I'm just spitballing some ideas.
Like it's an idea. It's just how many sharp objects are going to come off of it and be able to possibly stab you, basically, is what you would have to figure out. And there's so many variations of tables. I wouldn't want to be thrown through one that has legs up. I think it's a killer idea, but I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that, Neil. You draw the line in a few places, which gives me peace.
Oh no, I just need a person with the right idea to do through it, and I'll probably be like, okay, let's do it. So it's one of those kind of things. Like in my brain, it doesn't work quite right, but if I get the right table, it might happen. I also didn't want to go off a 2-second level balcony either, but I went through that and survived, so not.
Yeah,
so
you talking about the rotating pile driver at Slave to the Death with you?
Yeah.
And then Schlack.
And the funny thing is, Schlack came off with a burning elbow pad. Like, I was just like, okay, so John does this to me, I guess he wins. Because I'm dead. Like, there's no reason I should be getting up. And they recently redid that spot this past year, and a dude ended up hitting we think he hit one of the beams underneath all the tables, and that's what compressed his spine. But me and John did it like 3 years ago, and we had even less stuff, and we both came out of it pretty much unscathed. So just goes to show, high risk, high reward kind of thing, So, it happens. He's upright, though. He's starting to walk, I believe. Or at least I think he's getting there. I know he's getting better in standing upright, so long process, but he's getting better.
I think your body weight and Murdoch's belly, I think, makes you guys rotate in some scientific way that there's a checks and balances there, and I think you guys match up like
they fit right into a formula,
like a yin and yang. And you just twirl through there like
the scoliosis in my spine curves at such an angle that his belly just perfectly fits on my back, to where when we flip, it's one giant massive person.
It's like a big human meatball, like a missile just flying through.
I'm like, whenever you hear this, I'm like, cut that part out and just post that part.
Is his belly, does he have like the hard, like drinking bowler old guy belly, or is it kind of like jiggly?
No, it's definitely the bowler, like perfectly shaped, like not gonna bulge out if it's full, but not gonna be like soft if you poke it, like like a bowling dad gut, like a beer gut, but it's not like I call it worker shape, where like you have the giant ass gut, but you can still do everything like physically possible in a ring. Like I've seen John do some things that I'm like, whoa. Like, I bet if I talk to him enough, I could get him to 450. Like, I believe he can do it. I just need to talk to him long enough to get him to be like, yeah, Neil says I can do it, and see if he does it. Maybe I'll start doing that. I'm like, come on, John. You know you can do it.
So it's not malleable then. Like, it's pretty.
Yeah,
it's pretty solid. Like,
What's
every time I see him,
Both of you have a really clear way of describing it. Like there's no pause in the description. That's the funniest thing. It's like, yeah, it's not malleable. It's pretty hard when you poke it, and he can pretty much do everything.
Yeah.
I just
It's
think
like
that's hilarious.
he's like at maybe month 7 of a pregnancy.
Yeah.
Like you expect the baby to kick a little bit, but it's not formed up enough to where you really can feel the definition of the foot. You know, like that's the type of belly he's got.
That's hilarious.
Like I always run up and I put my hand on like, oh, no kicking today. Oh, no kicking today. Because we've rode in the car a couple times and like he always takes off his shirt and just sleeps in the front. So every now and then I see him like rumbling, like about to wake up, and I'll just walk up and put my hand on his belly, be like, the baby kicked, and he'll just wake up and be like, get your hand off me, Neil, god damn it. Like he's always so annoyed by me.
So he has a comfortable, happy fetus in there, like
Yeah, we're hoping for a soccer player. You know, we want the next Pele to come out.
Let's see, I'm all right, No Peace. I wanted to talk to you quickly about No Peace. I like me some No Peace Underground. Their promos and some of the stuff they like, the in-between stuff is a little bit too weird for me, but the matches I love.
Oh yeah, like them having someone as a terrorist hostage, and they're just talking to the camera in between the break. Like that freaked me out. I was like, "What in the fuck are we watching?" Like,
yeah,
what? Like that threw me off so bad because I was just like, "No, like why?" And like, I don't know. I know the guy that they had underneath the bag, and I'm like, you need help on your improv skills because some of that stuff dragged on way too hard and way too weird. Like, yeah, you need to be coached, man.
when I was first told about the no ring death matches, the first thing that my mind thought would be, okay, these guys are gonna kind of brawl around a little bit, but maybe not. It may not really be wrestling, but then I tune in, and you guys are full on wrestling. There's no ring though. Like, I mean, you guys are still slamming each other, doing arm drags, drop kicks. You're throwing each other off the stage through. They have the best contraptions. I mean, I think. And you guys are throwing each other through all this stuff, and it's like, I know that a ring itself is hard as fuck. It's way harder than most people probably give it credit for, but I'm thinking, I'm just kind of like always kind of cringy, and my skin crawls a little when I see people fall down on the floor. Because I'm 40 years old, and I don't like walking on the ice. Like, the idea of falling on the fucking floor is nightmarish, and you guys are just kind of just doing it. Like, I think... So it was way more than I anticipated it would be, which is astonishing. Like, the mileage, it's got to be 10 times the physical mileage, right? If you're getting body slammed and you're getting drop kicked and you're falling down and it's on the floor, like one of those matches, doesn't that feel like 10 of a regular match by the end of it?
Nope, because if you notice my no peace matches, I don't land on the concrete, and if I do, it's very rarely. Like that's what I always tell people. I'm like, I just don't land on the concrete, guys. And they're like, really? How do you accomplish that? I was like, I'll just grab chairs and doors. Like, I'd rather land on that shit than the hard ass concrete. Like, just things people don't think about. You know, like you cover the ground with enough crap, you're not really hitting the ground. You're just hitting whatever's on top of the ground. So you get a little bit of that cushion, but not enough to block it completely. So that if you've watched enough of my matches over the last year, you've noticed like my matches always end with just everything in the ring and spread out like a 5-year-old not cleaning his room. Right. Like it just everything's everywhere. Against Sage Sid, I ran into a cinder block wall. Like, who puts that in a ring? Like, I don't know. But we ended up having pieces of the cinder block like migrate to the center of the ring because of it. So, you know, the more stuff you got, the more stuff you got to land on. That's my logic. As long as it ain't the concrete, I'm good. Like, I'll land on anything. So that's why usually I'm throwing stuff right away, because I'm trying to make a mess. That way there's stuff everywhere, and by the time they actually throw me on the ground, there's already a ton of stuff on the ground, and I can just land on the debris.
You had a really good match against a girl named Snow, I think. Is that right? She had like the
Lindsay Snow, yep.
She had the Luna Vachon vibe going.
Yeah, very much so.
I found myself very interested in that character, and then she vanished. Do you have any idea where she is?
I know exactly what happened to her. Like a week or two after we had our death match, she broke her knee doing training in a ring by herself. So just by a fluke, she popped her knee and broke it. So I think she's coming back to AEW Dark. That's where she gets most of her notoriety, is from that. And from what I heard, she faced Sadako like years ago, and Sadako was being super fucking violent with her. So she broke her arm. Like, that's what I know about Lindsay Snow. And I knew none of this going into the match with her. And that was her first like full-blown death match, and she hasn't done one since. So I think it's more she wanted to dabble in it, but she didn't want to like do it all the time. She's got AEW Dark. Like, she don't need death matches. She's not haggard up like I am. So, yeah, she's got opportunities. So I'm sure she's coming back to them eventually. I would assume she's probably just going through a lot of rehab right now and still on the mend,
Yeah, that one match that you two had was very polarizing. Like, I was like, man, that is. I really wanted to see some more of her after that. It was good. I really enjoyed it. I like the character. I like when you guys put a lot into your characters and your behaviors, and she definitely did that. Like, she made it look like she was trying to kill you. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Well, was it? I think I pissed her off because after she hit me in the head with the light tube, I started grabbing tubes and putting them across my chest. Like, come on! I'm like, yeah, come on. This is the way we go. Come on, hit me again. She kicks it, breaks that one. I just brush it off, like dust off my shoulder. I grab another tube. I'm like, come on. This is how violent we need to get. Come on, kind of baiting her in. And, from that point on, like, she was just way rougher with me. And I was like, okay, she got it. Now it's time to fight for my life. Just honey badger being a dummy. Like, I try to be the biggest shit talker, even during the fight. Like, at H2O at Tremont's tournament, like, I had two of their students and technically one of their trainers in the ring. And I'm just like, come on, you cucks, let's fight. And I just start fighting everybody. Like, you guys will probably laugh at this because you guys are older than I am. So, like, when I jumped at Kennedy, she lifted up her knee and gave me a knee strike. I think that's because when I jumped at her, like a 1990s rated R cartoon, I was like, gotcha, bitch, and jumped right at her, and she kneed me right in the face for it. So, like, yeah, I always find a way to piss people off as the match progresses. Because it's like my power up. Like, you beat me up more, I'm just gonna keep coming at you. Like, I've got endless endurance when it comes to just taking tons and tons of shit. That's why people are so baffled by the time the end of the match comes, because they're like, how did you survive all that? And they're like, I don't know. I just do things. I chase cars, mailmen, whatever. Like, there's no rhyme or reason for me to be here, just anarchy. I'm just here to cause a car wreck and leave. I don't even worry about cleanup.
I got a few more for you. John Rare and the thumb incident in Alabama, or the fingertip.
All right. No. I think it was faked.
I do too.
Because if you watch the video that's like clip by clip, they cut off like that much of the finger. But then when you see the picture of it, it's only like this much. And I'm like, no, that's not the way shears work, buddy. Like, nah. So I think it was all faked because they're not showing anything of it, and we won't hear nothing about it from here on until they come clean about it. So I heard they came out and said it was fake, but I haven't seen that message. So, yeah. And I'm too lazy to like look into it. It's Deep South. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, I figured it was fake. I don't know of anyone that would lose a finger and it not at least show it off, like run around with
To
their
be
hand.
fair, in high school, when I was actually being trained in a backyard place, a kid in high school did tell me he wanted me to cut off his arm with a chainsaw during a match. So there are idiots out there who will lose limbs for no reason. And this was backyarding. So, yes, I believe John Herrera would cut off a finger just to get his name out there.
What was your opinion of the Tremont Onita match? Did you like it?
I enjoyed it until I found out that the stuff that Onita was pouring out on the board at the end was kerosene. And I was talking to one of their weapon masters, and I was like, kerosene, not the same here. Like, not good. And he was like, oh, yeah, we learn. I'm like, no shit. Like, you could have barbecued Matt horribly bad. Luckily, Ito was there to be able to put him out because he saw what was happening. He's like, no, get him. Get the guy. Fuck the fire. You know? So luckily, Ito was able to get Matt out in time before any, like, horrific damage was done, you know? So I enjoyed it. I think it could have been a little bit better, but for what it was definitely worth buying a ticket to go try to watch, you know?
I liked it. I wonder how they rigged the exploding light tubes. Has there been any talk of how they made those
Oh no.
They're probably not gonna
no.
push that sequence.
One day I'll probably ask one of them, because I became pretty good friends with one of them. So I'll probably ask him one day, or I'll wait till I go to Japan. I'll be like, light tube, boom, and see if they let me do it, because I would love to be in a giant match with nothing but exploding light tubes. That'd be fucking awesome. That's historic stuff right there.
Yeah, that's
just getting blown up with glass nonstop.
I think let's see, if I were I think if I were a promoter and I had my way, I always think of different guys that I would like. If I had my own deathmatch wrestling, I think you, Jeff King, Slack, Marcus Crane, Casanova Valentine, and Hoodfoot would probably be my main guys. Would there be any objection to that? I mean, do you think that's a good group?
No, that's a real good group of dudes.
Yeah, I mean, from what
I just need guys to fill in the rest of the spots. Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, that's a good group of dudes to have.
Yeah, I think Casanova Valentine's awesome. I think he, you and him own the space you're in. Does that make sense? Like, you guys have an energy and a way about you.
We have like an aura about ourselves.
Yeah, like I think Neil, people would watch you mow a yard or wash a car. People would just watch you do shit. Watch you do some shit. I guess
just
what you
watch a day in the life of a honey badger.
Yeah, I mean, you got that GoPro. Just start in the morning with your cereal.
Just eat it super intensely, like this is how a honey badger eats breakfast.
Yeah, you could eat that shit dry, Neil. Milk is for the weak. Get some Captain Crunch. Get Captain Crunch and start in.
Get some fruit berries and be like, this is the type of fruit you need every day.
That's right.
Start eating them.
Let's see. I'm at the bottom of the list. We covered Cruel real quick. I wanted to talk about. We covered Gussets. I love the production value when it's good. Like I like when I pay attention to the arena, the video, the intros. I like a ring to be configured like for a death match. Like I'm not always the biggest fan of it looking like a junkyard always. Like I mean, what's your opinion? I love the classic 200 light tube configuration, or like back in the day when they would have like the actual constructed pits, like Four Corners of Pain with the shit in the pits, or the.
Oh yeah.
I mean, what's your I mean, what are your thoughts with a ring configuration, or does it really play into things?
Usually whenever like people ask me if I want like a specific stipulation for a match, I'm usually like, nah, just give me a good mix of stuff. Because like it for me, that's where the most creative stuff's gonna come out because I'll have plenty of tools at my disposal. Me and Dale Patrick's at Unlucky 13, NHB 13, like that was for me a super fun match because we had cinder blocks, we had a seesaw with gussets on it, like we had bowling balls, like we had cactuses and stuff. Like we just had such a wide variety of objects that we were able to keep and grab people's attention and be able to tell the story in a linear kind of way that just got everyone like super hyped and super ready for when I kicked out of the double underhook pile driver. Like that was, most people would have been like, oh, this is over, Neil just got murdered, and then I kicked out of it, kind of like the DVD at a King of Death. People were not expecting me to be able to do that, so to be able to do that and then still pull out a win, like that's awesome to have like a mix of things because you can play around with it a little bit more. But my favorite configuration of any kind of light tube match is the House of Horrors, where they have all the light tubes lined up on the ropes, and then they have the big X that goes across with all the tubes. That to me is the coolest thing because it's like you're in a fun house. You know, you can like jump between the tubes and be kind of masked by them a little bit. And when they don't expect it, just attack them. You know, like I would probably try to do the match where I don't take them down. I just leave them up and I'm trying to work around them, you know, just like defeat the purpose of them being there all together. Like that just makes me laugh. Like do something people don't expect in death matches and you're going to grab people's attention, you know? So personally, I like a mix of things. So I have more to play with, but definitely favorite configuration is House of Horrors.
Nice. Yeah, we covered just about everything. I wanted to, we talked about the new Albany building that IWA Mid-South has. I wanted to bring that up because I watched on IWTV they have a show from there called something like The Lights Went Out in New Albany, and there was a match with JC and Lou Dark, and I swear I was watching a VHS tape. It looked like Ian Rotten back in the day, like the
real grainy 4x3.
If you get a chance, the nostalgia coming from that building is pretty strong. I mean, I don't know I know that you're maybe not eye to eye with those guys now, but if you're bored on IWTV, watch a little.
What was it? I actually I was there when they did The Lights Went Out in Bellevue, Illinois, and it was Dingo, and I think it was Ian, but they had the exact same kind of match. They turned off all the lights, and it was just illuminated by the lights in the ring. Yeah, see, like, I'm down for that type of match to watch, but I could probably never be in that match because once lights start going out, like, everything's going to become a blur, and I'm not going to know. I'm probably going to get disembobulated. Like, No Peace, I always tell them, like, you turn all these goddamn lights on. And they're like, why? I'm like, because I want them to see what's going on. This isn't a concert, you morons. Like, we're in the pit area. They got to be able to see what we're doing. That, and I'm blind. So if you turn off all the lights on me, it's going to be hard for me to see. So I love watching those matches, but I can never be in one, I don't think.
We covered Escobar burning, and I wanted to throw something in there. The next weekend, I was back home, and I went to they got a racetrack, a local Saturday night speedway here, and they had like a 95 car race, enduro race, and then one of the cars caught on fire, and the guy burned up really bad, and an ambulance came in. And the guy wasn't moving. He took like 10 steps out of the car and he flopped in the grass. And they had to get the real ambulance to come because of the out of shape track ambulance people couldn't do anything for him. And the whole time they're helping this guy, there's like people running up and down the bleachers. This mom comes up with hot dogs and popcorn, and her 3 kids are like, Mommy, you missed it. A guy just burned up. And then she was like, oh man, and I was getting popcorn. So like, back-to-back weekends, I had a traumatizing fire incident that I had witnessed, and it was around my birthday, so of all people, Shadow WX, you know who he is, right? Obviously, he wished me a happy birthday on Facebook Messenger, and he was affiliated with one of the nastiest fire moments in wrestling. You remember when he lit himself on fire and went to jump through Mike Samples, and then he rolled around and they couldn't put him out? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So like I had like these 3 affiliated fire things happen like within like a week's time, which was really weird. I don't know. I
think that's the universe to tell you don't do a grill out.
Yeah.
Final destination gonna happen to you.
I was like,
the grill's gonna explode and like burn half your face off like Two-Face or something.
Yeah, it was just like this overhaul of like fire in my world, and that I didn't ask for. But
yeah, but to be fair, at the Derby, at least you couldn't smell the flesh.
Yeah, it was gnarly.
Silver linings.
That Dixie Quick stunk like a human body, and people were just eating hot dogs, fucking around. I was like, no, I gotta get out of here, man. This is too much.
No, that's totally fair, man. People are desensitized, man.
I didn't say nothing to JC. I left, and I didn't bother. I knew that he was probably already catching enough flack for that, but I just grabbed my wife, and we left with the other guy, and it was just like, the guy said, they're not going to be able to explain this to the police. I'm leaving. And then we followed him out, and I felt bad, but it was just too much, man. Like, I don't know, man.
See, people wonder why I tend not to watch live shows. This is the very reason. Plausible deniability. Because if I'm in the back and some crazy shit happens in the ring and cops get called, I have no idea what happened. I was talking to my buddies back here. I have no idea. Like, sorry, can't help you. That's when I wave and go, bye, guys, and grab my shit and leave.
Well, Neil, I'll tell you what, man, this has been a blast. I hope you've had a good time. I hope you enjoyed your evening. I'm going to do a little closing here, and then if we all want to say something at the end, but I hope my questions were original. I hope I didn't bore you too much. And
oh, no. We were able to dissect and unpack some of this luggage. I do feel like a little bit of weight has been lifted off my chest a little bit.
Okay. So. Yeah, like you were my therapist for the evening, Neil.
Yeah, that's right.
So.
Well, I just love the fact that Kellie changed her background to a gusset plate. That's hilarious. Like supporting the scene. Like, yeah,
it's what I can do. I can't really contribute a lot to the conversation. I can listen. But I've learned a lot tonight, Neil, and I do appreciate all that you've shared. I really have. It helps kind of give me a little perspective of what Jesse has really connected with over all these years, and it really helped explain a lot of why you do this. So I appreciate you being here tonight.
Well, at least you didn't ask the one question everyone asks, but why do you do this? Like, that's what everyone always asks. And I'm just like, well, to put it in an easy, nice metaphor, my body is my brush, my blood is my paint, and the mat is my canvas. And this is how I do my art. So,
wow. I'm sorry I didn't ask with that kind of answer.
I'm a thinker.
Yeah,
I'm a thinker.
I like it.
Yeah.
I'm deep but simple.
Well, nice to meet you. It really was a good time tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, study all that stuff you wrote down, and eventually I'll be back, and I'll pop quiz you on all of it.
All right.
Real quick, I want to compliment you. Your lion salt off the chains did not go unnoticed, sir. I remember the match you did that, and that was amazing.
Oh, dude, that was a total fluke. Like, I honestly have no idea how I was able to pull that off with Dale. Like, you see me right before it, I'm like, I need a chair. And I'm looking around, I don't see no chairs, and usually Weapon Master Ryan's pretty good about it. And then I just turned, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just go for it. And I've done the lion salt while the ropes have been covered in barbed wire. And, like, I had no idea. I just did it. And they were like, oh, you got real lucky you didn't hit the barbed wire. And I was like, oh, whatever. same kind of deal. Like I just kind of went for it, and luckily it worked out to where I didn't land on my head and Hayabusa myself.
Yeah.
But there's been a few times where like I try to do it and I don't get that stance, but as soon as I hit the mat, I'm like, got you, and I'll have the timing down and I'll just be able to do it perfectly. So yeah, taming those chains, baby.
Yeah, I still got to watch the recent ICW. I might do that tonight. That sounds like.
I watched the pit and parts of the chains. The pit's really cool. Like there's a good variety of matches in there. You'll have a great deal of respect for Akira after he gets done with Gary J. Gary J made him bleed from chops. It was awesome. I was like, ooh, the whole time because I was like, oh, I know Gary. Like I know how hard those chops are. I was not feeling good. And then was it Hoodfoot did great in the chains with Satu. Justin Kyle. I'm trying to remember who he faced, but he had a real good match with someone. Can't remember who it was though. Tankman versus PCO was real good, and John versus Tank. I had to watch that because I'm trying to steal John's title. Well, not really steal, but I'm trying to take it. So that was a really good match. I love Tank. Tank's awesome. I wish he would have won the belt.
Yeah, you got to work all the legends in the chains. That's kind of cool, or at least several of them.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
You got to beat up on a lot of them guys. Pondo, Tank, Insane Lane. Who else am I missing? That's a laundry list.
Sage Sin. Was it? Like that's really all the legends. I got to work Shane Douglas at a random show for somebody. I was supposed to face Justin Credible a couple weeks ago, but he bailed out. Would have worked Takeda. Like, yeah, this definitely has been the year of the honey badger. If I didn't get this infection, I would probably still be rolling right along, trying to get whoever I can get. I want to face Sexy Eddie. Yeah. I want to do a dance off, pants off death match.
I like
that. There you go. There you go, Kelly. There's another death match guy you need to look up. Sexy Eddie.
I think I just saw that. Say that again. The dance off, pants off.
Oh, that's not a real thing. I just made that up.
Okay, well, I saw that. I think I did a little research tonight. Was that on like a Twitter? I don't know where I saw that tonight, but I was
just look up Sexy Eddie.
Sexy Eddie, okay.
Yeah, like he's a sex machine. It just he's actually like in shape and stuff. Like him and Cool, you'll like those two. They're very buff, muscular looking men.
All right, I got him down. Okay, I'm gonna look him up. Hey, I was really interested to hear more as we wrap up too. I'm excited to hear what your album track kind of recommendation is. We usually wrap up with some music, so get to thinking about what you want to recommend us to listen to, and I'm gonna write that down too.
All right, I got it.
All right.
Shogun by Trivium.
Oh,
it's
man.
TRIVIUM.
Shogun by Trivium? Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
And I'm not telling you anything about it.
Okay. Noted.
You're going to be blown away.
Okay.
Well, guys, this has been awesome. I'd like to thank our listeners for listening. It was an honor to have Neil here. I mean, it was pretty cool. Awesome guy. We had a lot of good stories and questions, and I want to thank everybody for listening. As always, I say support your veterans, take care of your mental health, and autism awareness. My son Eli has autism. He's a sweet kid. I love him. I'm proud of him. Let's see, for a song for me, this is going to throw some contrast in. I'm going to go Hall & Oates, She's Gone.
Oh, yeah, some Hall & Oates. That's a good one.
I always think of someone moving massive amounts of Quaker oatmeal from one point to another when I think of Hall & Oates.
When I was younger, I actually thought that was the the band was the group, like the food group. Like I thought they were legit, like crossed over. Like, oh, why does this food company have like a whole band? That's kind of weird. I don't see Count Dracula and the Draculas or anything.
That's funny. That's hilarious.
Wilfred Brimley's in there, the Quaker oatmeal guy.
Well, I'm going to do a shout out, as I typically do, for cancer awareness. Good news, my husband is cancer free as of a few weeks ago. So we're hoping that, in the next year we should get like the all clear. So cancer awareness, you notice anything about yourself that's not been there before, tell your doctor, take a look, ask some questions. I am going to give a track tonight, which I had to look up, so I'm not going to act like I knew it. But Stevie Ray Vaughan's first studio album, which was in 1983, was called Texas Flood. And I'm going to take the number 10 track called Lenny, which was written after his wife, Lenora. And rumor has it she couldn't listen to the song without crying. And my son can play it on the guitar. So it's a special song for me. So Lenny by Stevie Ray Vaughan.
So we get one song?
Well, that's all I have to offer, but please give more.
Okay, well, I already gave you the album recommendation. We'll say that's part of my podcast.
Okay.
And I'll say my one song recommendation for your guys' podcast is ironically the same as you, Kelly, Stevie Ray Vaughan, but I believe the name of it is Drop of a Dime or Life in a Drop. That's what it's called. It's one of my dad's favorite songs.
In a Drop. Okay. Definitely going to look that one up too.
If it's World War III here at our house, wife versus kitten versus Christmas tree. So if anybody out there knows how to keep a kitten out of a fucking Christmas tree, man, just hit me up, give me some knowledge, because it's just getting crazy. I don't know what to do. The cat is just like, it's like a moth to a flame. I've tried.
Well, the cat, I don't know how to help, but the kid, tell him if he touches the presents or the tree, it's all going to blow up. They'll believe something will blow up. And if you're like, hey, Santa's got all this stuff rigged to where if a child under the age of, however many years ahead of he is, be like, if a kid under that age touches these things, they're all going to blow up and go away. So, I don't know. That might be kind of mean, but I'm trying.
He'll panic at Christmas morning when people go to touch them to even open them.
No. Once Christmas Eve hits, the timer the pressure plates are gone. You give them a timer, be like, all right, now this day it means they're okay to touch, but you still can't open them till Christmas.
That's funny. Yep, I guess you got it all figured out. Yep.
Oh, I don't know about that. So yeah, my son, at the age of like 3, I think, he was standing on top of my laptop, and I heard a big crunch and looked over and saw that he jumped on top of my laptop while it was closed. So I leaned in from the outside where our screen door was and gave him one of those little on the thighs just to make him aware that I need his attention. And he turns and I'm like, you don't touch my stuff. You don't know, not yours. I don't touch your stuff now, do I? Being all firm and dad-like with him. He ran off, started crying, I was, whatever. But since that day, he does not touch anyone's stuff without asking permission first. So if I told my son when he was 4, he's like, Dad, can I open a present? I'm like, no, they'll all blow up. You go, what? They'll all blow up? I'm like, no, they won't blow up. They'll just disappear inside the box and you'll get nothing in it. And he was like, oh, it's like, just don't touch the boxes, okay? If you don't touch them, you'll be fine. So luckily he didn't touch them at all. I got lucky. I didn't have to make any presents disappear. It's just a bluff.
We do all kinds of things. We call that WIT around here, whatever it takes. We've done a lot of bluffing at this house. So.
Oh yeah, that's all parenting is bluffing to see if your kid calls you out.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. All right, guys. I really had a good time with this. Anytime you want to come back on, Neil, I mean, we can. This is awesome.
Yeah, saying get a bunch of episodes and we'll do like a roundabout episode where I come back in like 6 months to a year and we'll recap random things and see, who's gone a little bit more crazier during that year.
All right,
yeah,
man.
you could even call it like a Thanksgiving special.
There you go.
Our Thanksgiving reunion. Sounds good.
There you go.
All right, guys.
All right, good to meet you, Neil.
Yeah, it was good meeting you guys. It was a blast. I had a lot of fun.
All right.
All right, take care.
Bye.